unfixable issue. There's too much envy in the community, if you want to call it a community.
So,
low tier, can I tell you?
I would not. It's definitely not
Lev,
fixable. It's
Lev,
definitely
I got a
not
question for you. What did you mean by the statement, black men mistreat and disregard black women?
Okay.
Damn, are we getting on that?
That's what I was. That's what I was actually going to bring up. Also, though, is I was going to talk about what you thought about the what you thought about Anna, Anna's viewpoints in general.
But before we tangent, can I tell low tier God something that I think
about the black experience?
Well, yeah, exactly. So as a white man, so no, hey, listen, I took a college class, okay? So no, there was actually so the truth is that like this unity is an illusion, and I'm talking about for white folk, for black folk, for whoever. Like if you look at white history or whatever, we have this big narrative of like, oh, we've been organized for so long. But if you look at like the 1800s were a fucking mess. Like everybody was fighting everybody over everything all the time, and they all had different ideas. And even in like the early 20th century, Zora Neale Hurston, who's a black female author who grew up a few miles away from my house, she rejected Black Harlem because there was like a black Illuminati, there was like a black Enlightenment movement where they were trying to say, we're going to create our own culture, we're going to do our thing, we're going to get money, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But what they thought was fancy, what they thought was correct, was adopting to white culture. So they wanted everybody to be really well read and really well spoken and really fit into like white expectations of what black folk were supposed to be. Whereas Zora Neale Hurston basically said, fuck you, there's parts of our culture that should be independent and we shouldn't adapt in this, that, the other way. So what I'm trying to point out is that like, if you're looking for like a perfect unity or cohesion of culture, it's never going to happen. And basically the only thing that you can do is advocate for your group as best as you can.
Yeah, that's the point that I'm trying to make when I say that it's unfixable. I think we gotta get past.
Do you mean external or internal? Because like you fixed it for yourself, right?
I would say as a whole. So if we're going internal, right? It starts from within. So my thing is the envy. The envy is almost like it can't be fixed in the community. And I feel like we're blaming the wrong people. So when we want to blame slavery on, I guess Europeans, so on and so forth, if you really read back, I don't know if you ever heard of the Dohimbe tribe or something like that.
Yeah, the Dohami, the Benin. Yeah, Benin.
Yeah. So they were responsible for 1/3 of African slavery. So they sent over like 500,000 blacks to America.
Do you know what movie was based off of them recently?
The Woman King.
Yeah, and not only that, do you know who the female warriors from Wakanda are based off of?
Yeah. So
the fucking
Amazonians
female warriors of Benin.
Exactly. So, I mean, we got to get out of the whole blaming system. I feel like what we do now is when we don't get our way, we try to use that pandering card. Now, a lot of people probably think I'm trying to, I guess, maybe be on the white side. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I do is I go against the grain, but I'm still for blacks and for positivity and everything like that, which is one of the misconceptions that I had like a couple months ago with Gideon. Like it never was, I was like trying to diss or anything like that. I was just like, yo, you're blessed, this and that. Maybe it's not like a racial issue. And I was trying to think of like maybe a bigger issue like business 101, because I'm a business major. So, I'm a business graduate. So I look at things differently. So when I go and I read back that one of the biggest, slave trades or some of the biggest slave trades were Africans themselves, who do we really have to blame? And when do we pick up the pieces and just say, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just, let's be like the new Asian or something. Let's get a San Gabriel. There'll never be a black San Gabriel.
Well, the shit for me, though, is like, so I see it both ways. The one thing that you said that I super agree with is like, how about I stop trying to blame, or white people stop trying to blame black folk for fucking problems. Black folks stop trying to blame white people. And we just say, hey, the country's a fucking mess. Why don't we fix it? Like that would be an infinitely better attitude to adopt is, hey, it's fucked up. Let's fix it. But when we say, hey, it's fucked up, let's fix it. I can't help but notice that like we like Republicans, conservatives, like I come from that world. we always talk about equality of opportunity. We always talk about like, oh, in America, you can be anything, you can do anything. But that dream is kind of dying with the way our economy is set up. And then also not just that, but like educational access or high quality educational access, that's a major problem. Like a lot of people who go to dog shit schools end up having dog shit results later on in life. So that's kind of my thing where it's like, I don't give a fuck what you call it. Call it disparate outcomes. Call it systemic racism. Call it whatever the fuck you want. But recognize there's a problem and we should all be pushing in the same direction.
I feel like it's like, you know, if a overweight person goes to the gym, but they're forced to go to the gym, you know? They don't want to help themselves, but they want to get back in shape. So they go to they're like, help me. Then the trainer's like, okay, do you want to get back in shape? How hard are you willing to work? It's like, well, you know, I just want you to do your stuff. It's like, okay, but you have to do the work. It has to be on you. And I feel like we haven't really accepted that. Like, if Black people to get reparations today, I still feel like it'll be like a major problem just because like
I just had this conversation.
We wouldn't have, like, Dave Chappelle made a whole skit about it. If Black people had got reparations today, they were like, you know what, all people get their reparations. It wouldn't go to the right things, you know. It wouldn't go to the right infrastructure to have generational wealth, and that'll be trickled down to generation upon generation. You know, it's already bad enough that like when someone has like a Black business, you know, it's like sometimes we dog each other. It's not like, yo, let me support that. You know, it's like, oh, look at him trying to do this. You know, like Ice Cube, he just created the Big Three, which is the first recognized African American sports league in American history, you know? And, you know, I too, you know, Alba, do you watch the Big Three?
Hell no.
Low tier God, do you watch the Big Three?
I watch that shit.
Exactly. I don't watch it either. So, but it's like, you know, in spirit, I support it, but am I supporting it financially? Am I shouting it out on my social media?
Bruh,
doing all this? No.
I'm going to keep it a stack with you. I ain't supporting something just because it's Black. It's got to be quality. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's just not part of my interest. Maybe if I was a huge basketball fan, I might watch that shit, but
I feel you. I feel you too. It does have to be quality, but this is the thing. You see, like, okay, let's say this isn't quality, okay? But we're supporting something, the NBA, which has been around forever and is majorly run by
white people profiting off of Black athletes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Kind of white
Is there any
Shut the fuck up.
We appreciate our feminist
NBA. Like I don't know. I feel like that's ridiculous that there's not at least one. Oh, except for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's the only, and for him to be an owner, he has to be the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah.
You feel me? So he has to be the exception of the exception of the exception just to be at the top tier of the
Jay-Z
NBA
own the
world.
team?
He owns like a small percentage
of the Nets, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not the Nets. Sports. I'm pretty sure. Wait, who owns a portion of the Nets?
Jay-Z owns like a small percentage.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, yes.
So if you guys,
but he put himself in that position because he let go of the whole systematic racism bullshit. Like, so when everybody was kneeling, and
I don't think he did.
When everybody was kneeling, take a look at this. When everybody was kneeling, Jay-Z was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go talk to the NFL and get shit back going again. I know everybody said Jay-Z is all about his money first, and then everything else second. But I mean, to fix shit, sometimes it's not always just like a big Black issue. Like, he got shit going again because he sat down with the NFL. Once people seen like a positive Black figure say, fuck it, let's put it behind us, play football and get this money, I feel like that's when shit started picking up again. Because let's keep it real. Complaining or us going on strike or anything like that, that's not gonna do anything. At the end of the day, like if basketball players go on strike, it solves nothing. If we all kneel, it solves nothing. If anything, in America, let me say something real quick. In America, I feel like what Black people need to understand is that at the top of the tier, we're allowed to be millionaires. So anybody that's Black can be a famous millionaire. So what the fuck are you complaining for? I mean, we got people like Blueface who's rich. You're going to tell me that you see somebody that's rich as fuck like that fucking around and you're still complaining? This is America. Anybody can get money.
That's not
the exception, though, not the rule.
Well,
no, I think he's just saying that's the viewpoint of those people. I don't think that he actually believes that.
You guys are hanging around 2 millionaires, okay? 2 black millionaires. Don't tell us we're the exception.
Okay, so well, then this is kind of my point. Is I felt like there was a real political moment that like happened basically in the wake of George Floyd, where everybody, largely conservative Americans, were like anti-BLM, you know, anti-police reform, anti, you know, any kind of criticism of the police, blah blah blah. But then after George Floyd was like so fucked up that, you know, you basically had 2/3 of the country that was behind police reform, and then that got squandered. This is kind of the thing where, for me, I get a little fucking pissy. I don't know if IRI is still listening or not. But for me, I feel like the political class just completely like dropped the fucking ball on police reform during that moment, because there's real things you could do, like federal subsidization for...
I think this is all cope. This is all cope. All this talk about the exception. Honestly, if people are struggling and they got these issues, they can use the creator kit. They can find ways to get money.
That's what I'm saying.
Can get the skills they need. I know plenty of people who run courses. You know, so I feel like if you haven't used, if you're struggling, if you're 18 or whatever you're watching, then you should try out the creator kit.
Yo,
wait, no, I want to. Okay, yeah, sorry, you go first.
Can I ask you a question, Alba?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think? Like, what do you think about the black community? Do you think it's more of like, do you think the black community is a lost cause, or do you think it needs like a leader and govern to kind of like help, like, okay, this is what we should be doing, yada yada yada, where it's like not everybody has to follow this, but like mostly the vast majority like is moving in this way, like back in the 60s.
Let me counter you with a counter argument. So to Judeon and Lotier, I'm gonna ask you too. Okay, and this is something I think about all the time. It's like, on one hand, we're all black. On the other hand, it's like you don't know how much you're tied to each other. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of said that too, alluded to earlier, but like how much of a community is it really? It's like, I think so long as we tie ourselves to this idea that kind of blackness is going to kind of still unite us, I don't think there's going to be much opportunity for much uniting. I don't think there's that much of a bonding factor as you make it out to be. And you know, maybe people say this because I'm of African descent. Well, Lotier, what are you? You Caribbean?
I'm a mutt.
Okay.
I don't 100% know. I know my dad was adopted. I'm gonna label myself as black.
Okay.
But you see, that's the thing about like, especially like American black people, is like, bro, when I went to the UK, like I felt like that was like the most eye-opening experience, because I would have people be like, "Oh, yo, what are you?" I was just be like, "Oh, I'm from Texas," and they'd be like, "Man, if you don't shut the fuck up with that, like, where are you from? Are you Nigerian? Are you like?" And then it's like it really puts like a spotlight on me, and I'm just like, damn, you know, I don't know exactly where I'm from. I don't know what my heritage is.
Yeah, and, different. Absolutely.
And like it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like low-key like a really it's kind of like a scary thing. It's kind of like it's like having Alzheimer's, you know? It's like you fucking ended up somewhere and you don't know how you got there. You feel me?
We got to do 23andMe.
Exactly.
Can I ask y'all a question that might be kind of like contentious?
Sure.
Someone brought up like an accomplishment, something that Ice Cube just did, like something positive that he just did.
Oh, he created the Big Three.
What is that?
It's a basketball league.
Yeah.
The greatest basketball league where they play 3-on-3 with all the guys who can no longer play in the NBA or never made it.
Y'all were talking about like Kanye earlier and like the anti-Semitic comments and Kyrie Irving, and like Ice Cube has a history of, I think he's like either tweeted some like anti-Semitic memes and stuff like that.
No, he got some lyrics. He got some lyrics talking about the Jews.
Okay.
What year did he say those lyrics in?
The lyrics were like, everybody got to pay their money to a Jew or something like that. I might have made it up, but it sounded like it involved money and Jews. That's all you need to know.
What year was it though?
This was part of NWA.
I don't know.
Okay, that's why he got away with it. That's why he got away with it.
Yeah,
Ice Cube was speaking out against like Kanye West, and he literally tweeted like, "Please leave my name out of all the anti-Semitic talk. I'm not anti-Semitic. I've never been anti-Semitic." And like people were saying like, "But you shared anti-Semitic memes," because I think he did. I think it went beyond the lyrics. I think he did share some memes that had like bankers basically, and he was kind of alluding to like a Jewish cabal or like the Illuminati.
Yes.
And I think Steven was saying earlier that he thinks that there's like a particular problem with anti-Semitism in the black community. Like, what do y'all think about that?
I feel like I think Kanye said it in an interview where a lot of black people, we say stuff and it's just stuff that we've heard for so long. Like, it's like kind of like white people not seasoning food
Yeah,
or,
that type of
stuff
shit.
like that, where we think it's some backhanded shit where we don't think it's racist, but it's just like when you do put like a magnifying glass to it, it's just like, oh shit, this low-key does have some like racial origins. And I think in a clip
Okay.
Kanye was talking about how he was talking about Jewish people, and he was saying how like that's just how he's always grown up to learn. But it's just like, it's like, where did you learn that from? Because when you look back and see where all these tropes of like Jewish people own all the banks and stuff like that and all this and that, when you tie it all back, it ends up being like white supremacist groups saying that stuff. So it's just like byproducts of stuff we've heard, but we think it's just stuff that we've always been told.
I don't even think it's that deep. I don't even think it's that deep. How about I tell you this? Like, this is true for like a lot of minority communities, but there's just a lot of prejudice against other communities, period. And so if you think about Asians, oftentimes the representation of Asians in black communities is generally the guy who owns the liquor store or owns a corner store or whatever. And so they have that relationship with the Asian community through that lens. Or if you think about anti-whiteness sentiment, is generally seeing them through the lens as like, these are the police officers or these are the racist folks that we encounter from time to time. So there's a prejudice against white folks to some degree in regards to like racial experiences that you have. And so you think about Jewish folks, and then you hear being rapped about all the time, or these are the guys who are in power, and these are the guys who are fucking over the people and the record labels and doing all this stuff. So from a media perspective, the way that you internalize it is generally negative. So in terms of prejudice or like negative sentiments to a lot of minority groups, it's done through the lens of these people have power and they fuck us over often. And so there's a bit of a negative resentment there. Or these people have mistreated us, and it's kind of like a constant media portrayal that's like a feedback loop.
Listen,
Gotcha.
I got a little bit more anti-Semitic in this conversation because a powerful Jewish man pulled me out of the chat temporarily because we were talking about black unity. So I'm getting a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about Dan?
Fuck yeah.
you guys remember? I remember Dave Chappelle had this bit about like him going to the corner store, and the way that he described the man who ran the convenience store as being incredibly suspicious the moment he walked in, is the way that a lot of people have encountered experiences with the Asian community in terms of like being in their corner stores within a lot of inner city spots.
What was that one movie? The movie where the guy shot Menace to Society, I think. Where like the Asian people were like, hurry up, and he like ended up shooting them in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, like even in our media, like like.
When people say it's anti-Semitism, I always cringe a little bit because I think of anti-Semitism. I think of the sentiments that ferment society to lead to the point where it creates the Holocaust or whatever. And I don't think the sentiment that black folks are espousing in regards to like that would lead to that outcome. I understand that the roots may seem similar. I just don't think like the power structure.
The roots are exactly the same.
Yes, but I think where the starting point. I think the starting points of the people involved are not, and I think the power dynamics involved are not. And so I understand the historical context.
Why would you let that get loose in the first place? This is why white people bitch.
But you guys understand? Like, hold, you guys understand the relationship that they have to some degree with other minority groups is similar to the relationship that they have with the Jewish community. You guys are saying it's different because there's Jews involved, but I would argue that if you polled most people and you ask them like their opinions of like either the Asian folks or the white people or Jewish folks specifically, they would have probably the same negative sentiment towards each group, irrespective of like.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem with that is that now we live in a technological age where black and white people are integrating at rates that they never have before. So if black people online are sharing these anti-Semitic memes, these anti-Semitic sentiments, and white people are sharing these anti-Semitic sentiments, it's like Germany uniting against Jews again. So I'm Jewish. I'm in a bunch of Jewish spaces. And we see right now, like more than ever, are people like Groypers and black people, the two most like unlikely allies, coming together and spewing this like crazy shit. And it's extremely reminiscent of Germany in the 1940s. Where it doesn't start with let's kill all Jews. It starts with this is who's in power, or even questions about it. Like this is who. Why are these people in power? What is it? And then like this false kind of narrative that the money hungry, the jokes. It starts with jokes. Like these are things, it just snowballs.
But this is where like right wingers or liberal anti-social justice warriors get pissy or whatever, and the black folk can play their smallest violin for me. But when you like normalize like rhetoric where you're like, all people are fucking in this X group are pieces of shit because of whatever reason. When you talk about like the dialogue of whiteness, when it comes to intersectionality or CRT or whatever, that shit is, it can be flipped on its head so fucking fast because Asians and Jews technically do better than white Americans. So if you go from a systemic analysis perspective, you could just as easily arrive at anti-Asian or anti-Jewish sentiment.
I saw some dude on TikTok. He was breaking it down, and he was basically saying, like, the anti-Semitic rhetoric. Like, people are like, why? They're like, why? Oh, why is this a bad thing? We're saying they're good with money. We're saying all this and everything like that. But the guy was like, the reason why it's a bad thing is because if someone came out and was like, black people are stupid, their brains don't function the same and stuff like that, they're viewing black people as not as a threat and just like, lower. Whereas
we'll see if it works, because I'm on Elgato Cam link.
People are good with their money. Oh, they always stick together. Oh, they control everything. They're saying that out of like a place of fear, and they're saying because they view them as a way of like a threat and stuff like that. So when he put it in that perspective, I was like, it really clicked for me. I was like, wow, I like it really hit for me, like why people I could see like how that can be very alarming and stuff, because it's just like, that's why Hitler did what he did, because he saw Jewish people as a threat.
Okay, can I ask a quick question? So I would argue that black folks as a whole probably have a more negative sentiment towards white people specifically than they do against Jewish people. Do we think that the anti-white sentiment in the black community is going to ferment some kind of white Holocaust?
No, but I think it's more dangerous because white people don't hate white people. So you have like a big enough community who's hating Jewish people, who's also like a mega minority now. Like now, Jewish people, there's less Jewish people than there are black people. And then you put into perspective that they've already gone through a Holocaust. They're the highest when it comes to hate crime rates. Like even you are more likely as a Jewish man to get hate crimed than you are a black man. Like this is true in America because there's just less of them, like on the street.
So you're saying more people hate Jewish folks, and Jewish folks are small in numbers, so it's more dangerous?
Yes. Because they don't have any institutions put in place to like protect them, and also nobody gives a fuck.
Right, I need to start making more babies so we can get this.
I think people do give a fuck. Like, there's been a lot of backlash to
people
the
do not. Dude, there is anytime a synagogue is shot up, nobody gives a fuck. It's in the news for a fucking day, and that dude, it's like it's gnarly.
That's so cap. That's okay.
That's not cap. It's not cap.
That's okay.
No, I think sometimes
no.
That's no. Like what she's talking about is kind of true. Like at Parkland, the Nicholas Cruz shooting, I think in Florida, that school that he shot up was like majority Jewish, and I didn't really hear like any media outlets. I could be wrong. Somebody could link me articles. Cover on the fact that I think a lot of his the motivation for that crime and that school shooting had to do potentially with anti-Semitism. But like another thing I wanted to bring up was y'all were saying that like I think Abba, you're kind of making the argument that there's anti-Semitism within the black community, so there is some prejudice there, but y'all don't have the power to actually like enact that prejudice meaningfully. And of course, I know you're saying it's still bad, but what do you think about like the Breakfast Club having like Louis Farrakhan and like Charlemagne the God kind of like talking about defending and playing defense for these figures who are like openly anti-Semitic in a lot of different ways?
Charlemagne the God is not, bro. Charlemagne the God.
He's the GOAT.
The fuck out of
y'all don't. You don't like him?
GOAT. What you mean? I'm gonna take up for Charlotte.
Charlemagne the God denounced the hell out of Kanye.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
I mean,
yeah, but did you
see
the Charlemagne the God clip from fucking 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Wait, you don't think he should have denounced him?
Huh?
You don't think he should have denounced him, Gideon? For the comments that he made?
Well, denounced who?
Kanye, for like the anti-Semitic comments that he made.
Maybe you guys feel the same about this, but I feel like the way that Shaq and everybody in the black media came out super strongly with their like, oh, I'm so sorry that you guys. I feel like y'all doing a bit too much. This is a little bit.
That's exactly what I feel. You know, I feel like it should have been.
Y'all look like y'all about to cry.
But like, what place does Shaq or Charlamagne the God have to denounce Kyrie for saying something anti-Semitic?
Because I think they're around Jewish people but they're around Jewish people who they love. They work. Okay, sure, but also these are their friends. This is who they're around. Of course they're gonna care.
I mean, like if someone dropped a hard R and they're like, "Love, you know what? We need to get Love to denounce this person." Like, why are we going to Love to denounce someone that said the hard R? You feel me? Like, why out of everybody, why you?
Can I answer a question Abba asked a second ago? So basically, do white people think that a black genocide against white people is coming? No, but white people are trending towards a minority status in the country. So unless there like becomes like a racial conservative alliance between conservative Hispanics, conservative whites, and conservative blacks, it could get really ugly along racial lines, and that's what people are afraid of.
Well, it's more so.
I feel like it was very smart. I feel like it was very smart that they got every single
Lord Southern.
No,
don't talk shit about my boy.
It's not gonna happen.
Like what I saw was like whenever they had everybody go, like when Kanye said what he said, they didn't go to Jay-Z or Drake or anybody.
Oh no, they tried. They emailed everybody and said, "Hey, how do you feel about doing a comment?" And then they slid them a couple of checks. They said, "Yo, listen, we'll pay you to do this."
But like Shaq and Chuck and LeBron, like it's like why ask them? You feel me? I'm not saying.
I get you. Are you saying that you think it's like
you should denounce Kyrie, but why ask LeBron? Why ask Shaq? Why ask Chuck? None of them are Jewish. None of them are Jewish. The only thing about them is that they're prominent black athletes. And me personally,
white people came forward and said that Kanye was.
I feel like it was more to set a I feel like it was more to set a point of like,
get in line.
We have the biggest black figures to say Kyrie was wrong. I honestly think that. I feel like
do you not just think that's a matter of your algorithm? Because what I saw is Jamie Lee Curtis come forward crying about it on like The View or something.
That was the most
of course cringe. It was. Of course it was cringe. But I'm wondering because like I didn't see all these like black people come forward and were like, be nice to the Jews.
It's because you don't watch Sports Laugh. But if anybody turned into ESPN,
I do watch sports.
It was 48 hours of like rabbis telling NBA players who can barely read that they're that they need to apologize.
That's corny. Yeah.
They're like, yo,
get in line. Like
we got checks coming.
Like this is the type of energy that like I feel like politicians should have if they say something, you know, anti-Semitic or racist, you know, not a basketball player.
Don't you think that's kind of racist on its face too? Like getting all these black people to answer for like one mentally ill black person is like crazy.
Yeah,
it's not that it's racist. It's that they know.
I think it's racist.
You have to make an example, and they want to make an example out of Kyrie. It's just
I guess it just shows how
cool.
Shaq's an NBA player though, or like he was an NBA player. He's involved in it. That makes sense. But do you take frustration with the fact that you felt like individual black like prominent black men and celebrities were made to answer for like another black man's like anti-Semitism, and you think that's bullshit? Or like why don't you like this the denouncing? Because they didn't organically do it themselves, or because like you kind of felt like they were asked to, or do you think that that's like a big virtue signal?
I think they were told to. I really genuinely think they were told to. I think even before
by who?
Because bro, all these
by who laugh?
Okay, I'm not here to answer that question, but what I do know
this is okay. I want you to be careful. Because this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not saying it's funny, but this is the stuff that gets people to start fucking being suspicious of a very small minority. Yeah. So it's a little spooky. You have to walk the line a little bit.
Okay, but this small minority out of 10, how powerful would you say it is?
Jews? I mean, when you look at like who's Jewish in like the House and Senate, like not a lot of. Are there a bunch of people in the media who are Jewish?
I'm talking about titans.
What do you mean titans? Like the most
talking about,
wealthy?
People, yeah, people who
millionaires.
are wealthy, influential, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Tell me
Wait,
how
but do you think?
how
But here's the thing.
overrepresented are
But
they?
here's the thing. Do you think?
Overrepresented.
Do you think that Jews, like, how do you think that Jews got there? Like, this is what I talk to the Groypers about this all the time because they think that there's like this conspiracy that like Jewish people have like somehow taken over like all this money on purpose. Like, why do you think there are so many rich Jewish people?
Yeah, and can I point out something horrific after you answer that question?
If you're asking me the why, I don't know the why, and there's probably a valid reason why that would explain.
But you have to think about the why when you bring up the what. Like you have to.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying I don't even think you're allowed in mainstream media to even say that that's true. Now you could get to the why. I just don't think you could openly even say that.
So wait,
Can I get to the
I'm
why?
going to drop this very quickly, and then I'll let everyone talk. Like, I hate whenever this point is brought up because, you know, the vast majority of people are like millionaires or like billionaires or straight up Christian, and yet like we don't talk. And like there's a fucking Vatican Church, right? Like oh my God, the Christianity has so much like power over the world, whatever.
You talk about the Mormons, how much money they're funneling in?
Yeah,
crazy.
You don't hear about like this vast like Christian.
How much power does Christians really do have over the world?
That's facts, man.
What do you mean? What do you
mean? How? Wait, what? Why do you think separation of church and state
If I went on Twitter
exists?
right now and said some stuff about Jesus and everything like that, I might just piss off a couple of my fans and stuff like that, but I would never get canceled. But we all see what happens, and this is we
all see because the Jews went through a genocide not even 100 years ago. We're still a little sensitive about it.
200 years ago. You know, at some point we gotta move forward.
Well, hold on.
Wait, Abba, do you think that Jewish people are
So-
kind of like oversensitive about like the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, or no?
Yeah, I mean, low key.
Really?
Okay. Wait, what? Because I don't feel like Jews bring it up ever.
You know what I mean? Listen. You know, segregation was like 40, 50 years ago. We got to get over that. I mean, at some point, motherfuckers got to get over it.
Don't you think Jews have gotten over it? They've created their own wealth. They've created their own communities. They
it does sound like
country.
it. The way I saw Charles Barkley crying, and then Sarah Lee Thomas, the old white lady.
It's just a trauma. It's just a trauma. So if I mean, it's the same thing. Black people are talking about the prison industrial complex in the same way because it scares you.
I think you got to pick yourself
there's
up.
Effects on both. Like today, like you can't just pretend that like this was basically grandparents' generation. Like now the effects have gone away because we're over with that time period. Like holy fuck, it wasn't that far ago.
All I'm saying is this: sometimes I want to be able to just criticize somebody and not it be because they're a woman. And the other times I want to be able to criticize a Jewish person and not be because they're Jewish. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like they're too sensitive.
But when you criticize, especially when you're talking about the
you know what I mean? They just got to pick themselves up by the bootstraps.
But
and
the
just
problem,
keep it
Abba, the problem is when you're talking about the what in response in when you're talking about Jewish wealth, when you're talking about the what, there's the implicit shadow of the why. Which can be hateful. So you need to be sensitive about it. And you haven't answered. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Why do you think?
When he's done, can I answer why without Dan pulling me out?
On that point, Abba, I think the problem is that like when you criticize misogyny, doesn't look like the Jewish question. Like anti-Semitism presents in exactly the way that Lav is saying, where people kind of gesture and imply that there's disproportionate Jewish representation and control, and they're getting at that there's like a Jewish conspiracy, that Jewish people are making up their oppression, that there is a cabal, that they are conspiring to revolt against the United States. Yeah. I don't see the woman question. You know, I don't hear like misogyny doesn't really present in the way that anti-Semitism does, where people think that like women are involved in like cabals to like oppress men or something like that. It's a lot more denigrating or benevolent. I think that's you're saying like, well, if I can criticize women without being called misogynistic, why can't I criticize a Jewish person without being called anti-Semitic? And it's like, well, the way that you were kind of presenting it, you know, by asking that question, like, I don't know, that's like kind of like classic anti-Semitism, my dude.
Well, wait, okay, well here we're just using the examples that we have at hand with Kyrie. Everybody knows exactly what he did, right? He shared the link to the book.
To one of the greatest documentaries ever made.
Yeah. Not answered the question, and it's really important when he's talking about that he thinks that Jews are being too sensitive, and he won't answer this question. Come on, answer the question, Abba. Why do you think Jewish people are rich?
I think they're just born this way.
Nah.
So it's in their blood.
Can I do it?
Structure.
So All right, so I'm gonna do it. I want 2 minutes, Dan. Leave me alone. So basically, if you look at medieval history, during medieval history, Christians were prohibited from usury, and as a result, a lot of Jews were forced into business as a trade. And on top of that, it behooved them, by the way, this is from Jewish history, to integrate themselves into the society in the most useful ways possible. That way they wouldn't be persecuted or killed because they were too useful to be persecuted or killed. Also, when you talk about the modern 20th century and it comes to Israel, with Israel, it was not a foregone conclusion that the state of Israel would be successful. There were plenty of times that it was almost destroyed. And people basically had to back each other up in order to make sure that the state was formed. This included, by the way, taking technologies from Western countries that prohibited the sale of technologies that were necessary for Israel to succeed. And as a result, you get all these conspiracy theories about Mossad when they actually operate pretty much similarly to the United States CIA. And the reason why they have to be aggressive with both allies and foreigners, I'll wrap this up in a second, is because they're on a fucking state the size of Rhode Island surrounded by hostile neighbors. So they always have to be on guard. They have to be smart. One of the
and
things
also,
that,
they weren't put there because people felt bad for the Jews after the Holocaust. Nobody wanted to live with them, so they delegated a place in a place that they thought that they could have control.
Well,
that's another thing.
Final quote. Abba, I love you. Final quote. Brett and Eric Weinstein from the Weinstein brothers, they said this, and I think it's really smart to keep in mind. The reason why Jews celebrate Passover is because the Jews who waited for the bread to rise did not escape Egypt. And so that's like a mentality that's been passed on for thousands of years, that if you are not on guard and if you don't survive, or if you don't pay attention to your own survival, it will be taken from you. And I'll shut up now.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
That's part of it. Also,
That was a very base take.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. I say as a pro-Palestinian individual, I don't want to listen to two pro-Israeli individuals just go on and on about Israel's right to exist.
Wait.
So I just want to say that.
Wait. No, this is a problem. Because you said two pro-Israel individuals. Who are those pro? Are you saying that because I'm Jewish? You think I'm pro-Israel? This is a problem, Abba.
I'm saying
what
I'm
are you doing?
Pro-Israel.
Okay,
and were
that's
you saying,
fine.
Like I'm pro-Israel.
Wait, I'm pro-Israel.
That's like what a strange thing. What a strange thing to assign to an American Jewish person.
I don't think it's that strange. It's a generational thing. There were plenty of people.
It's not strange, but what it is it's fucked up. It is. This is lowball anti-Semitism, and it's fucked up, and you need to call it out.
Okay, I got a question for counterpoints.
Sure.
So everything you said that the Jewish people were able to do you think that could have been replicated by blacks? Don't worry about being racist. I'm a new age black. It doesn't matter.
No. And
Exactly.
actually, but
wait, careful. Qualify that. What do you mean when you say no?
Yeah. So what I mean by actually, this is really interesting. Again, I'll try to be brief. West Africa actually has like very specific geography and topography and agriculture that's required, and jungle, mountains, agriculture, all this kind of stuff, where a lot of the technologies that were used in the Mediterranean and Europe weren't required in West Africa, and so and they wouldn't even be that useful in West Africa. And so basically the development that's required, where you're constantly under threat and pressure from other groups to develop technologically, I just don't think it was present in West and South Africa until the arrival of colonialism. So, yeah.
Are any of you guys Jewish in here?
So going on that real quick.
I was Jewish.
You just explained how
someone
basically
asked.
It was almost written. So since it was almost written, maybe this is the actual order of blacks. When you think about it, we're probably not supposed to be on that wavelength.
I don't think so.
This is just the way it was written. It's premonition.
But hold up. So I think that nature and nurture feed into each other, and people evolve over time, and they also evolve with technology. So for instance, like an American black person who lives in the United States is going to have a completely different experience than a West African black person in the 19th century or even now. And also, like, geography is going to determine resources. Resources is going to determine wealth. Wealth is going to determine education. Education is going to determine opportunity. Opportunity is going to determine the next generation's opportunity, so on and so forth. And as a species, I think it's our job to try to enable the maximum of human potential in each successive generation.
All right, I got a funny question for you. Why do you think black people don't get credit for Egypt?
Because they're West African and Egyptians are North African. Sorry.
Like, I know that's a fucked up topic. I just had to say that. Yo, Abba, what do you have to say about that? You're African.
Abba
Did he leave?
Yeah,
Where's
but
I-
I think Abba's probably North African or East African.
He's going to a synagogue right now to repent.
No, I doubt that.
Where did Abba go?
I
Or
don't
why
know,
did he
that was
leave?
random.
I kind of want to push back on something that Low Tier God said earlier. That was basically like, oh, like people just have to like choose better, et cetera, et cetera. And then like, I don't know. I felt like you were responding kind of weird when it came to the whole idea of like, does racism exist or do people experience it outside of yourself, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to point out something quickly. You said, oh, Black people just have to choose better. And I think, I don't know if you've obviously taken this into consideration, but whatever. There's a huge problem where Black people just literally choose the same thing as like a white person, but they will be punished for it. For like the best way you can see that is when it comes to drugs, right? When it comes to like marijuana convictions or like the rate of usage when it comes to a lot of drugs are similar between Black and white people, yet Black people are much more likely to be punished for it. So I think it's weird when you're like, oh, you just have to like choose better when you're making the same choices as other races in certain areas, and yet you're still being punished or basically being punished more for it.
Okay. So if I know that the system, Black people say the system is against us. If I know that the system is metaphorically against us, why would I try to replicate the same thing that everybody else is doing, knowing good and well I would not be able to get off the same way? So if I run at a cop and I'm big and I'm Black, I'm 6'5", I'm like 219, right? So if I'm big and I'm Black and I run at a cop, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, what do I think is gonna happen? But if I'm looked at as a non-threat, because most police officers, a lot of them that aren't raised in an urban area, when they see Blacks, they see everything that is happening on the screen. They don't see the positive side. They see what's going on in World Star Hip Hop, so on and so forth. So me being 6'5" and Black, anytime I've gotten pulled over, I know how to act accordingly because I know shit can go left if I don't act accordingly. I'm not doing that because I'm being a good boy, to the white cop, but I know how the world is structured. Therefore, I'm gonna sit there. I'm not gonna talk back, and I'm gonna leave. Every time I followed suit when I got pulled over, I never got a ticket from a white cop. But
and as an ex-cop, sorry, real quick. If I pull over Lavloon,
I'm crying and I'm going away scot-free.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
No, if I pull over Low Tier God or if I pull over Lavloon, who am I? Like, even if we have a perfectly good conversation and it's all pleasant, who am I going to be more on edge around?
You're going to be on edge around me because that's what
6'2", Black male, 220 pounds. If I get into a fight, it's going to be rough.
6'5".
I remember.
He's an inch taller than me, and I'm a tall motherfucker.
The females.
It's almost like we give up more of a threat.
You can be on your best behavior, or you can act even better than white people. But the point is that in certain areas, prejudice is so strong that like it doesn't really matter, right? If
wait. I think we got to be really careful. Wait, hold on. Wait, real quick. We have to be really careful when we say that. It always matters. There's never a case where it doesn't matter. Like, people can always like do better, even if there are some cases where the odds are stacked against you. There's never ever a case where it doesn't matter. Yeah.
You probably agree with Anna then. Did you watch all of those conversations? Because she talks a lot about personal accountability and stuff like that.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I didn't chime in. Was it yesterday?
It was. I think it's been most of the week.
Okay, yeah. I've chimed in a couple of times. My thing is, I've made the correct choices in life to where I didn't have to experience the bullshit that maybe other Black people have put themselves in those situations that could have actually been prevented. Anytime, now I'm just bringing it back to something that Black people complain about, being arrested or being mistreated by cops. I have acted accordingly. The only cop that ever impounded one of my vehicles was a Black cop. Everybody else let me go. You don't have insurance? Oh, okay, get the insurance. I'm gonna give you a ticket. The time I was caught by a Black cop, I happened to be driving on a suspended license like hella years ago, right?
Did you go up to Black or white area?
So I was raised a little bit in LA, and then I moved to the high desert, which is like somewhat suburban, but they're still like multicultural.
Interesting.
Okay, but you can agree that even if you acted the best way, et cetera, there can be somebody out there who acts the best way, and it doesn't matter. Like if somebody already
do you think it doesn't matter, really?
Well, let me finish this sentence.
Every single video I've seen.
What I mean by it doesn't matter, right? What I'm saying is that there can be a person out there who acts in their fucking best behavior, And if you have a cop that is like already so prejudiced or so scared or whatever, they're gonna see everything that Black person does as a potential threat, or they're gonna already basically have a
Of course it happens, but how often do you think that happens?
Well, I just want to make sure that low tier God acknowledges that happens.
That racism exists. I think.
Because earlier when I was pressing on it, he was like, "Just make better choices." So that's why I'm asking and clarifying.
Free Abba in the chat right now, man. Free Abba in the chat. They fucking locked him up. Free him.
I don't make excuses. Like, I understand how shit can go. So for me, it's all about choices. If you know being Black in America is dangerous, especially when it comes to law enforcement and how you're perceived, why don't you act accordingly? I was in Neiman Marcus, right? I could afford anything in there. I went in there, just quick example. I went in there, the guy was looking at me weird. I'm like, okay, I understand, because he probably just has that, just based off of what he's seen on TV and this and that. That's just how he thinks. But it's up to me to change his mind just on a single-handed way. I've talked to people who were actual skinheads. It was like, yo, you're like the only Black guy I can talk to. Like, sometimes you just got to change somebody's mind.
Okay, it's just a yes or no question. Are there times
yes or no question for what?
That sometimes people can act on their best behavior and other people are still going to be racist, prejudiced, and fuck them over. Like, even though they're acting in their complete best behavior.
I think he knows that, but I also think he said that he doesn't believe that that's extremely frequent.
There's a chance, but you could change your outcome.
So it's a yes or no question. Yes, like you could, like, you believe that. Okay, if somebody acts in their best behavior, there's always gonna be a change. Or you said that, like, they're gonna change the outcome. You don't think there's any point in time where if somebody's in their best behavior, they're still gonna get fucked over?
No.
Okay.
I think you need to bite the bullet on that. Like, I think that what you're saying is you think it happens extremely infrequently. The problem is he's already answered you 4 different times, Pixie, and you keep trying to ask him. You're like posturing over a Black man. You're posturing over a Black man trying to be like, racism exists.
Hold on, wait. The number 1 rule for this Discord server, okay? No racial slurs. And no opposite of the racial slurs, which is virtue signaling. None of that bullshit. Okay.
That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like Pixie's doing.
I don't care what you feel like she's doing. Okay, go.
Let me ask her a question. Do you have a Black boyfriend?
What'd you say?
Do you have a Black boyfriend? Does she have a Black boyfriend?
No, I'm not dating anyone right now.
Why did you ask that?
I was just asking because maybe you had some sort of sentimental, maybe you came home and cried on a pillow or cried on your lap.
Oh my God.
No, I think the whole thing is like,
the question because I know sometimes
choice is bullshit, because it's not always your choice. We can say it's your choice half the time. We can even say it's a lot of time, whatever. But to say it's always your choice, I think that's kind of dumb.
Okay, here, let me bridge these gaps, okay? To say that it's always a choice is stupid. And low tier God, if he's pushed enough, will admit that it's not always your choice. You can do everything right and still get fucked up. And probably for Black people, you can do everything right. What?
Are police officers?
Yeah, you can do everything right and still get fucked up. It can happen if you're white. It can happen if you're Black. Probably a little more likely to happen when you're Black. Something that low tier got, I think he was going to say this earlier, but I think he got cut off. I think what he was going to say was, oftentimes when you see videos of people getting fucked up by the cops, Black or white, usually there's some stupid shit happening first. Now, occasionally, you do have your Philando Castiles who do nothing wrong. I don't think he did a single thing wrong. But then oftentimes, you'll see videos where people are doing dumb shit, shady shit. It looks like they're grabbing a gun, they're fighting the cops or whatever, and then something happens that's not cool, it's not acceptable, it's not good, but it's a situation that was like entirely avoidable, I think is the point low tier God is trying to get across.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I say certain shit, I know people are going to think about me weird. Like, can I remind you guys that I would choose nothing else but to be Black? Like, I'm an attractive Black guy. Obviously, I would choose to be nothing else. So I'd probably look weird. But I mean, it's when you look at the history of like shit that has happened, like if you look back on Rodney King, like that shit could have been prevented. Like when it comes to police officers, you simply just don't resist. Like if you want to—
Wait, you think Rodney King could have prevented what happened to him?
I'm using that for an example. Like if you look back on certain shit that has happened, all you do, look, when you get pulled over, put your hands on the steering wheel, ask the police officer, may I get my license? Like I've been pulled over like fucking 10 times and I've only gotten like 3 tickets.
Here, I'll give you a really— hold on, wait, real quick. I'll give you a really— hold on. Wait, we live in a fancy— okay, hold on.
No,
here's a really— okay, hold on.
Of course, but I think that's what Pixie wants to hear. Like, no. Pixie wants to hear low tier gods say, like, it also sucks that we have to do this, but like I will because it's the situation that I've been given. Like
Sure.
that's
Okay,
that's
so
what Lotirgot is saying.
sure. So George Floyd could have been completely avoided. That's a situation that was avoidable.
Thank you.
But that sucks to say, but like that's a situation that 100% started with a criminal activity, continued with resisting the police, and then ended with him dying, which sucked, and he didn't deserve to die. And I'm glad the cop got convicted, but that was a situation that was 100% avoidable.
Wait,
It
Destiny, how are
is.
you saying it's avoidable? Like if he had just like not
He could have not he could have not done the illegal activity in the first place, or he could have not resisted the cops when they tried to arrest him.
Okay, can I say a couple of words?
Go for it.
It was a choice. Get it? So when she says something about choices, George Floyd had a choice. If he could have, just like Destiny said, he could have completely, that situation could have never happened. Yet it happened, and I bet you there's a lot of black people that are happy it happened because they got a free Dior bag from busting the windows out of a store in a Atlanta mall.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was about to say, can I
wouldn't
give
gone
a
that far,
spiel
but-
on this one?
I'm black,
You
so I can say this.
You can
Well, I mean-
optimize choices based off of environment. You can optimize education. You can optimize redistribution of wealth. You can optimize culture. You can optimize all these external environmental factors. And our society is not perfect. It is fucked up. So while I am happy to hear choice bootstrap rhetoric on Twitch and YouTube, or on YouTube at least, we should also optimize the environment, because the truth is things don't have to suck this bad.
And it's all
Question:
based on
Why
choices.
does everyone think? Because obviously we know, I think that like black people are like brought up to fear the police, right? Because of like what has happened to them. Why do you think that these black people, low tier God, are still like getting killed? If like, why do you think they're reacting in a way that someone who was scared of a policeman like wouldn't act?
I mean, it starts in the home. First off, black people, what we do is we look for the fastest way to get money, which AKA is scams. So when you're doing illegal shit, you're gonna be scared. Like if I get pulled over, I'm gonna tell the cop, look, if you want to search my car, go ahead, this and that. It starts in the home. So if we grow up looking at rappers who are committing scams or rapping about flipping keys, this and that, that's what we're gonna try to do and replicate. See, the thing about black people, we love to replicate what we see on TV, what we see in movies. That's what happened. How many people you think did drive-bys to Tupac? Because they felt amplified. So it's like it starts in the home. If your parents teach you, you know what, fear the police, fuck the police, this and that, don't ever let a cop know your rights. That's the bad way to teach the community. So if we're consistently being taught to fear police, we're gonna act in a certain manner that puts us in danger around police officers, and it's gonna be a revolving door. It's never gonna get solved.
So what do you feel about the black absentee father point?
I mean, most black men, we fornicate for pleasurable purposes. So we're usually not looking, for a wifey when we're having sex. And I think it also starts at home too. Like my father wasn't there, but it didn't morph me into a guy that's just gonna, shoot the club up, aka, or ejaculate in a bunch of chicks.
Definitely.
And just be a fatherless black guy. Like you still have a choice. Like I can break the cycle. I can have kids now, and I could be absent, or I can have kids and make sure that I'm hands-on and create the best specimens that I could possibly be. I mean, that they could possibly be. But the thing is, I don't date black women, so I mean that I'm looking for
Dear
culture.
God,
this is literally what Anna was talking about.
Wait. Before you guys continue, like I'm not gonna lie, low tier God, like I see where you're coming from, but you saying stuff like this enables people like Nick Fuentes to like just have like field days and stuff like that.
I mean,
I think so.
But that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is
I know. You're being realist. I'm not gonna discount you and say you're not being real, but we can't just I know we should put the blame mostly on us, but we can't always just like the blame's not always gonna be just on us.
Yeah, I'm not trying to allow other groups to talk about this. I feel like there should be like-minded black people that only are allowed to speak on this level of quote unquote scrutiny or blatant.
None of them are gonna because they don't want to fucking get like canceled and shit. So none of them are gonna say shit in here. So of course they're gonna agree with you. Like they're gonna have to agree with you. You're the only black dude talking, but like what you're saying, like we're asking for this and stuff like that. We're not asking for this. The black community is not asking
Well, what exactly, when you say we're asking for, what do you mean exactly?
Like the black community is not asking for, police to beat us or
Oh, fuck
police
no.
to be
Absolutely not.
controlling our communities 24/7 or to be fucking like if we really want to be real, a lot of the weaponry that black people are getting, we're not creating guns. We're not going to Mexico to get this shit. So where is it coming from?
But we're fucking buying them though.
We are buying them, but but we got to find the source of the problem.
But let's how about we do it like everybody else? Let's go get a gun license. Let's register that weapon instead of picking up that weapon illegally. Let's register it. So if we shoot, everything's registered instead of just, I'm gonna pick up a gun from Jerry. Yeah, I'm gonna pick me up a Glock. Like let's do things correct. See, the thing is,
LTG, can I hit this real quick?
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, like, this is the thing from the community that really, this is where I really do see it both ways, okay? I appreciate what you're saying because I think on an individual perspective, you have to take that because you have to deal with the way society is and you can't wait for somebody to come and save you. The system isn't going to be fixed by the time you and I are dead. So taking like an individualist mindset, I can only control what I can control. And if I act the best way possible, I'm going to have better outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's a perfectly good individual thing to adopt. But when I was working in the communities that I was working in, there were kids who were smart. I actually worked in the schools. Very smart, but around 8 to 10, they were told that cops were the fucking enemy, that education was a fucking sham, that they weren't going to be doing anything else except for basically dealing drugs and burglarizing shit. And on top of that, it was a good thing that they were going to do that. So they created like a burglary ring of teenagers who were breaking into shit. They catch their felony. Once they catch their felony, they're basically prohibited from voting. They're prohibited from so much other part of life. So they double down on the criminal lifestyle. By the time they're like 16 to 18, they're slinging weed, they're slinging coke. And then by the time they're in their 20s, they've been in and out of the system so fucking bad that it doesn't matter. And it's the family that's recruiting them into this lifestyle because that's the lifestyle that they were brought up in. So what I'm saying is, if you wanted to break that cycle, you would have to have better schools. You would have to have better mentorship programs. You would have to have better shit because a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old can't decide whether or not they're going to become a fucking criminal. That decision is already being made for them by their family. So if you want to break that cycle, yeah, sure, the personal responsibility shit is fucking awesome, but we could have a fucking better system too.
Could have a better system, but
and low tier guy, I feel like we're doing better in today's community as well, where it's like kids are seeing now, okay, I don't have to just be a rapper, rapping about oh yeah, I just fucked Shaquita and I shot Tyrone in the head. And and they're also saying, oh, I don't have to just be a basketball player. Now they're saying, people like you, people like me, people like Kai, Rage, Bruce, all these other black Flight, everybody. Like, oh, okay, I could just turn on the camera and create like that. And I could do. And then now what we need to do is we need to show other avenues. We need to start promoting, okay, black doctors, black lawyers, black attorneys, this, that. Imagine if I'm not saying Johnny Depp had to get one, but like imagine if Johnny Depp's defense attorney or whatever was like a black guy or girl. Like imagine like, with how publicized that was. You know how many people like young kids that could have been inspired? You know what? I want to be a lawyer. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you. And the thing about this is what I was telling Destiny before. So, what me, you, Rage, everybody else, Kai, everybody has in common? And you know why we get money?
What?
You got the answer?
Why do we get money? It's because we're entertaining.
Exactly. So why we could say, oh, you don't have to be a basketball player, rapper, this and that. It's still a circle of entertainment. And just what I was telling Destiny a couple of weeks ago, the only real way black people can get money in America on a grand scale is entertainment. But I guess what you're saying is it doesn't always have to be through rap.
Okay, but the thing is, I do agree with that. Like, I do feel like in the grand scheme of thing, that's all we're looked at as good as, So
why not chase that if that's where your, the road to your Emerald City leaves? Why not just chase entertainment if that's what America wants to give us? If black people are like, oh man, Jewish, this, that. You do realize that a lot of Jewish people sign our checks. Like they do own these companies. And I think that we're allowed to become millionaires. We're allowed to be expressive, but there's just certain shit you cannot say. Like, why if you're making millions of dollars a year, do you want to say anti-Semitic comments? Like, what is the point? What does it change? You're damaging the community again by saying stupid shit, because you're gonna get black people that are like, wait a minute, I should be able to say this. But at the same time, think
But
about
how does it affect Kanye? He's a multimillionaire. He's a billionaire.
Oh, he's
That's what I'm
lost
saying. Kanye,
fuckloads of money in clout.
Yeah, so what is he even gaining?
Kanye is
nothing. The
crazy.
thing is,
Kanye is having a mental break from reality. Okay,
That's true. That's true. That's
the
true.
only reason Kanye
Kyrie.
is saying this weird shit is because Kim started fucking Pete.
Yeah. Apparently,
It's
apparently, he
half true, but
texted.
it's because it's
With a
because
10-inch,
he's,
yeah,
like,
with a
has
10-inch penis. That's like every black guy's.
Yeah.
he's got
Wait a
some
minute, he has a
insane
BBC
mental
too?
shit going on.
White boy with a 10-inch dick.
Yeah, like I don't know what this weird stigma is. You know, we always think we're the only ones with like big ass cocks. Like that shouldn't even have been an issue. It should have been like, if it was really a problem, he would have been saying this shit with the red hat on. Where was the anti-Semitic comments when he had the red hat on? It
True.
wasn't until Kim left him and started fucking, you know, some 28-year-old guy with a fucking with a goddamn.
Isn't Pete Jewish?
He's from Staten Island, but I think
his parents.
If you're from Staten Island, you're culturally Jewish. Just
But,
I think
okay,
his parents are Jewish.
but this is kind of like the anti-Semitic shit or whatever. So his wife starts fucking a Jewish guy, but the Jewish guy's dad was a firefighter who died in fucking 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Like the math isn't adding up for the global cabal to lead to your wife fucking
That's what I'm
another guy.
saying, like-
No, the cabal is like it goes nowhere. This cabal thing just makes no fucking sense.
This whole fuckery, look, see how the world plays out? This whole fuckery started because Kim didn't want to fuck with Kanye anymore. Now all of a sudden, all these blacks, now we're talking about Jews. Like this is what Kanye wanted.
It's always
He
about a
wanted-
woman.
I do agree. Like I feel like
succubus.
talking about Jewish people is the least of our concern. You know, I do think, you know, I feel like the things that we do unite on, low key, be sometimes the dumbest stuff. It's just like why, like, because I'm pretty sure you've seen like why is it that all black people are trying to unite on? Why can't we say anti-Semitic stuff? Whereas, like, you know, you should be able to, like, you know, work and build on something else. Is that what you're trying to say, Lil God?
Yeah, I feel like we got to be a sport about it. So if we want to say anti-Semitic comments, what would have happened if two white or Jewish, let's just say this, actors, let's just say Seth Rogen and somebody else, say, you know what, fuck it. You know, black people, they made white girls or white chicks. Why don't we dress up as two black chicks and just make the funniest ghettoest comedy? Now, we would have just, oh my God, we would have just
Robert
had a
Downey
fit.
Jr. did a fucking awesome job in fucking Tropic Thunder, okay?
That's what I'm saying. That shit went under the radar though. But I'm saying, like, if we were to, I want to figure out why we're allowed to be racist, but we're not allowed to, or quote unquote racist, or I don't. Is there another way we can call this shit?
Because white people feel bad for fucking you over for 400 years, so we're letting you catch up a little bit. That's all it is.
But it's not 100% white people's fault. Like, we just talked about all those Africans that were slaughtering and doing cannibalism on blacks and killing 1,200 blacks.
But the same way that you were saying, like, okay, we as black community, yeah, it's not the guns. We're the ones who are buying them and killing people with it, right? Like, the way that you're taking collective responsibility for that is the same way that white people should take collective responsibility. It was free labor. They probably knew how fucked up it was. They were watching other human beings suffer and die, and they didn't care. And they made whatever justifications they wanted to. So we have to take collective responsibility as a nation for what we did. Okay,
and I think a lot of white people feel bad about that, but you guys aren't doing shit to us in real time. That is real damaging.
Can I point some shit out, though?
We're doing shit to each other in real time.
No. Okay, I want to point this shit out. So for instance, like I went on Lauren Southern, ABBA joking about that is kind of funny. We went on a fucking documentary shoot in Baltimore. Okay, so we go to West Baltimore, South Baltimore. It's all fucked up, right? Infrastructure sucks. Pipes are still lead. Lead. They have fucked up water, shitty schools, no funding. Everybody's leaving it alone. I literally go talk to the cops in the Western District, and I'm like, hey, where can I go that's safe, day or night, in order to talk to people and shoot a film? They literally tell me it's not safe anywhere. You will get carjacked or shot day or night in this neighborhood. That's how fucking bad it is. And so you can't tell me that, yeah, and when you have 20,000 people who are underemployed, who don't have any money, don't have any hope, don't have any education, don't have anything like that, I could see how people would think that that was like intentional neglect. Because it's so fucking bad, and we're talking about the richest country on the planet. How the fuck do we have no-go zones in the United States, the richest country on the planet?
Same way we have sundown towns.
I think, so, Lord your God, I think everything you're saying has elements of truth to it. Have you ever seen videos of people who turn on the cell phone, and the video starts, and one partner is insanely fucking unhinged, and the other person is being really calm? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like these types of like relationship abuse videos or like the freak out videos or whatever.
Yeah, it's a
when I
double fire.
What do you mean by that?
Double fire is when if you're arguing with your girlfriend, right, and you argue back, that's double fire. But instead, one person could just collectively absorb all the fire, and then it fizzles out over time. That's just, I don't know, that's the way I do things. I don't argue.
Well, sure. What I'm saying is that, like, one thing you can do is you can get somebody super fucking strung up, where both of you are being unhinged as fuck, and then one side can turn the camera on and can look at the other person and go, look at how fucked up this person is. But they're recording, so they know they're on their best behavior, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like weird, it can be cop videos, it can be relationship videos, it can be abuse, whatever. There's a lot of videos where the footage starts at a certain time, and when I look at it, I go, I wonder what happened 20 minutes before this. Sometimes it feels like when the way that you talk about these black issues, I know it doesn't come off this way, but the way that it feels like it, you or other people, white people, black people, when they talk about the black community needing to take responsibility, sometimes it feels like starting the video right at the point when the white person wants to, while looking at the entire black community. That, like, yeah, where the black community is at right now is super fucked. Nobody's denying that. White people, black people, whoever. But it's not by accident. It didn't happen randomly. And there's a whole bunch of shit leading up to it that to start at this very moment in time when the footage is rolling and say, look at how fucking crazy and horrible these people are. They need to do better. And it's half true. Like, they do need to do better. But damn, there's a whole lot of shit leading up to it that put them in that situation that nobody would have been able to crawl their way out of. That's, I think, is like the point that other people on the other end try to make. Or that I believe.
That's Anna won't concede on. Also.
I don't care.
That's why everyone's so mad.
I mean, so you believe that in America there's no way. You believe that in America there's no way out of the maze?
In America, I think that any person can find success. I don't know if a whole people can find success. There's always going to be exceptions to any rule, right?
I mean, yeah, it's not meant for everybody to be successful. We need people that's going to deliver our Amazon packages. That's just the way the world works. But I mean, why not at least try, especially if you're in a fucked up area? Always imagine if I stayed in LA. I mean, I go visit my family. Nobody's doing shit.
I mean, like, you can always, you can always try. You can always try. But like, let's say that I find out that my son is walking to school every day, and he tells me that as he's walking, there's always like 3 kids that try to like fuck with him on the way to school, right? Yeah. I could tell him like, well, take a knife or learn to defend yourself or whatever. But realistically, what's going to happen is, well, I'm probably going to start walking with him. If you tell me that there are kids that are bullying you, well, I'm going to go with you. Because at some point, like, you can only tell people to do better so many times where they need a little bit of help to get out. Now, you still should try to help yourself. I agree with that. And sometimes that message gets lost in this permanent fucking victimhood. And people, like, dude, I agree with you. When I see people building statues of George Floyd, it's the most cringe-inducing fucking shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, absolutely. But on the other hand, it's like this pull up the ladder mentality to where there's like a certain game, there's like a rat race kind of that it feels like black people have been put into sometimes, where you set the cops on them, you put them in certain communities, and their only way out is through entertainment. And now they're entertainers, and all they want to say is fuck the cops and fuck these communities because they fucked with us. And now other people are turning around and going like, wait a second, that was the only way out for you, but you got the way out, and now you're shitting on the cops? Well, why are you being so disrespectful? Like, why can't you act right? Like, what's going on here? And it's like, it was almost like you were set up to fail from the start. And again, I agree, you got to do better, but the request is a really big one, and that needs to be acknowledged. That's a really big request that nobody else in any other group is making. Nobody's making that. Nobody else in the United States is expected to overcome that much, right? I don't know if anybody else in the United States could overcome that much.
I mean, I want to go back to, and it kind of plays off what you said. I want to go back to, because you said something about entertainment. I want to go back to Gideon, where he said, if Johnny Depp had a black lawyer, it would have made a bunch of, like a bunch of the black youth say, you know what, I want to go to school for 7 years or whatever and pass the bar. Let me ask you a question. How many black people do you know that would just sit on their ass, study books, and pass the fucking bar? What do you think the percentage of black lawyers there is? We don't want to do that shit. What we want to do, I'm saying we.
I mean, you could just say that, but like,
it's too much work. We want shit fast, right?
If we go to college, we go to colleges and like see the work and like HBUs and stuff like that, and then see what would people rather do. Then you could just say that. But like if you just say it right now, then yeah, like I would just have to agree. Yeah, like no nigga wants to be a lawyer, but like
it's too much work.
That was against fucking what's his face, OJ Simpson. He was black.
Well,
Shit,
here's like
As the
the
guy
last
that
time
was
you seen a
defending
global
OJ,
black
the guy
lawyer
that was
walk away
defending
with it?
OJ
for
Simpson.
what Lotio God said there for being a lawyer, right? I agree with you. Nobody does want to do that. What do you think is like one of the biggest drivers for whether or not a kid actually would go through and get a college degree? It's if mom and dad has one, right? So like when you got if your parents have a college degree, you have a 3 in 5 chance of getting one yourself. If they don't, it drops to like 25%. So like and who's more likely to have a degree? People who have a history of having all the rights afforded to them, all the economic opportunity afforded to them, and everything through the generations that this country have existed, or people who didn't have like civil rights protections up until 2 generations ago. Right. Again, not that it's an excuse, but like even when you talk about like the reason why black people don't want to sit through school and get a degree is because, well, what the fuck? What is your success as a black person in the United States? I think we all agree it's through entertainment, right? I'm not going to become a fucking rapper or an NBA player by sitting to school and going to college and getting a degree. And if you don't see that, if you don't see people around you succeeding doing that, like a lot of white people do, Jewish people sure as fuck do, right? But you got parents that are getting degrees, when you've got strong members of the white, fucking Latino, black, like, or not black, Asian community, all these other communities that are doing it, you see that. I think that's what motivates kids to do it. And when black people don't have those role models, I think like Gideon said, seeing like a successful black lawyer on TV would do something, I think, to push kids in that direction.
You know what's fucked about that? So if you look at all these cases that's going on with the rappers, you know, and people who commit stupid ass crimes, so on and so forth, they fire the black lawyers, or the main lawyer is a Jewish guy. So we're crying about Jewish people, yet we only want to hire Jewish lawyers when we get in deep shit. And our supporting lawyers are black. Anytime you watch a video, like let's just say DJ Academics, anytime he's covering a crime, he makes a joke like, "Oh man, you got to fire that black lawyer, get you a Jewish lawyer because such and such." So what's the point of going to school to be a black lawyer, right? Passing that hard ass test, the bar, if we're just gonna go with the Jewish lawyer anyway when we commit the fucking crimes that we could have prevented in the first place.
Don't let DJ Academics get away with that bullshit.
Yeah,
Call them out.
and also
we
it's
fire
good.
the black lawyers.
No.
Well,
Like
to your
actually,
God.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask him because you're saying that like the majority of positive black representation in media is going to come through like entertainment, celebrities, etc. Like, what did you think about the fact that like Takeoff, recently passed in Houston? Like he was involved in a shooting. Like even his like wealth and privilege and stuff like that didn't like save him from like his untimely death. Because I was speaking to somebody and they he's biracial, and he was telling me that he felt that like Takeoff almost kind of like did it to himself, because he said like, well, he transcended his impoverished circumstances, but he chose to hang around like the wrong people. So he's like partially responsible for it. I don't know what you think about that, or what Gideon feels about that.
I don't know, Jitty, you want to go first? You want me to speak?
Nah, I said the exact same thing because I'm actually from Houston, and he was hanging out in Fifth Ward, and Fifth Ward is like one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America, let alone Houston. So you being a rapper, being in Fifth Ward is like it's like the president going to fucking Iran. Like with no security, like it just doesn't make any sense. So I feel like, but I feel like it's a stigma, especially in the rap culture, where it's just like you have to still look hood and stuff like that. You still have to be down with the cause. Like all these top rappers, they all have to check in. Takeoff and Migos have to check in with Jay Prince. You have to check into Houston. You have to check into LA. You got to do all that. But what's their face? Katy Perry doesn't have to check in with anybody. Post Malone doesn't have to check in with anybody. And it's like a bullying mentality, and I feel like it's the thing that's the worst thing in our community that needs to be taken out. But it's here to stay, so it's sad.
And just to throw a little chime on it, so I did a YouTube video on it. I do my videos, I get off, blah blah blah. There's a bunch of detractor channels, this and that, so my message doesn't get out there crazy. But I woke up the next day and somebody sent me the TikTok of somebody taking a clip of what I said about Offset and the whole situation, and it got like 2.5 million on TikTok, and it wasn't even on my channel. So I mean, I said what I had to say about it. We put ourselves in these situations. If I'm kicking it around, if I'm kicking it in the hood, if I go to South Central right now to visit my family, I immediately lower my life expectancy just from being in that situation. So you can lower your life expectancy. I mean, when you're black, you already know how shit goes. When you go to certain areas or you're around a certain demographics, this and that, you kind of put yourself in those situations. Not saying that it was. I feel like when you're killed, it's never your time to go. I feel like it's only your time to go through disease or natural causes or something like that. But when you're killed, it was never your time to go. It's based off premonition, space, and time. So I feel like it wasn't his time to go, but he put himself in that situation of rolling dice and being in that, that amped up environment. And if you watch the video, there's a certain type of a bravado that black men have towards each other where they don't want to look like a bitch. Nobody wants to submit. So when you watch that video, you're hearing Quavo saying, yo, y'all keep doing this, I'm gonna hurt somebody. So he tries to walk off and then somebody tries to hit him, which causes the gunfire. So it's almost like, was it meant for him? Like, could this been prevented? Yes, it could have been prevented if bravado wasn't in place. That could have been 100% prevented.
This phenomena that you talk about where like no black man wants to like look like a bitch, where do you think that comes from?
It comes from growing up. I mean, I was always the quiet kid growing up. I was always tall. I was being made fun of for being tall and quiet because I wasn't amplified enough. And in the black community, if you don't speak loud enough, if you're not, one of the loudest ones in the room, you're looked at as a bitch. Also,
Sure,
go ahead.
Where do you think that comes from? Like what, like
Can I give another
Like, what do you-
sociological answer? There's there's a theory about like motivations in different kinds of cultures. There's like dignity cultures, there's honor cultures, and all that kind of stuff. And my guess would be that Black hood culture would be classified as an honor culture, where your
Interesting.
reputation is important, and so as a result, you basically.
But why
have
do you
to-
think that is? Like, what builds
what
an
makes
honor
a
culture? Like,
culture?
what's the foundation? What builds an honor culture? Like, because I think honor culture
Like, I have
comes
to look
from
it up.
places that are like heavily riddled with like war, right?
Yeah, and
But like,
I think-
if you grow up and you're basically in like a war zone, which like I think a lot of black young men think that they are, I think that makes sense.
And negative media too, just
I
like
think
Jenny
more- I
was
think-
saying.
even more than like negative media or war zone, I think that the idea is like, what are the ways that you can show like you're a man, or where does your masculinity come from in a community where you have no economic opportunity? I feel like there's a lot of reasons why, especially in Black communities, there's like so many kind of weird associations with masculinity and gang culture, is because I think for a lot of people, like the only path to success or the only way to exhibit those characteristics are sometimes through like criminal activity. Like you just don't have the ability to go do like white collar jobs, go to college, get work, and then kind of like be the nice providing dude for your family. And when you don't have those types of opportunities, people will gravitate towards the other.
And if I could read this real quick. So honor cultures emerge when a centralized state authority is not present or not legitimate, and when people are extremely
Interesting.
materially vulnerable. Under these conditions, people will take
Yeah.
offense very easily, grow quickly fearful, and engage in higher rates of defensive, preemptive aggression, as well as vigilante justice in order to settle their disputes. So they're literally saying that it's like a sociological structure. And then dignity culture is more of a modern phenomena because there's a central authority that people resolve violent disputes through. And then as a result, what actually matters more is that everybody involved in the contract maintains their dignity. But I think if you were to do some kind of sociological analysis with this, I think you would find some pretty quick correlations.
And Steven doesn't care, obviously, because he has already shut it down. But for the viewers watching, I wish that this conversation could have been had with Anna, because this is literally the direct like counter argument for someone like Anna, who has all like the ingredients of something, like has the statistics, but also like doesn't have the empathy, or doesn't even care about the empathy to understand like what culture Black men live in and why it's different than Black women's culture.
This was
That's
the biracial chick that was on.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was biracial. I think she was just lighter skinned.
Yeah.
No, low tier God. Before we
Yeah.
end, well, not before. This isn't my stream, so let me stop that. But we've had our well, I wouldn't say it's a back and forth. It was just a one-time incident. But you know what, man? Me personally, I have no problem with you. I just feel, man. Damn, I don't know how to say this.
Say what you gotta say.
I see the clip of you saying it. You know, I think your mom said, you know, it's the way you say things and stuff like that. You have a way of saying things, and you know, it rubs people the wrong way. And when I did my video, your reaction to it, especially with you being a brother, it made me feel a type of way. But you know what? I feel like that's your right as, you know, a man. You don't have to feel the exact same way. You don't have to feel, you know, you don't have to be by my side, especially just because I'm black and stuff like that. So, you know what? All means that way, you know, I have no hard feelings towards that, man. So, you know,
Yeah, it was
on my
never
end, bro, it's no beef.
yeah, it's nothing like that. So for you, um, I look at, you know, you and a bunch of the other guys. I know you guys, I don't know, I use like a bunch of jokes. So my personality is either you're really gonna like me or you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Like, that's just the way that I work. So for me, when I was doing that, I was like, yo, this guy, like, Gideon is like, you know, he's one of the most popular, if not the most popular black content creators on YouTube. And I was wondering why the fuck does he give a fuck about Twitch? Mind you, I've been banned on Twitch like 6 times, literally. For I don't know. I used to be real crazy like some years ago. So when I seen that, I was like, yo, why does he give a fuck if he's really successful? So it was probably my wordplay. And as you could hear me like throughout this conversation, my wordplay is like, either you're gonna take it away or you're not. So my thing was never directed at you to try to like shit on you or anything like that. I was just wondering, you know, from somebody who's in a less successful type of aura, why you would really give a fuck about Twitch. So it was never like I'm trying to shit on you or other black content creators. And I think it caused a shitstorm because everybody's like, yo, this guy, Low Tier God is a fucking hater, this and that. I want all black people to win. If all black people won, the balance would be reset. So
Yeah,
I
man.
was
I mean,
never.
Then we can
just
get
think
working
about it
on
like
that white
this.
genocide.
You know, I like, you know, imagine you game up with your homies, you know, you have the ability to make a living, and like Destiny, you know, who would you say you're like? Imagine if YouTube was like, yo, you can't have Abba on your show anymore, you know? Like, it just ends, dones, you know, you can't have them on. Like, it takes the fun out of it, you know what I mean? And so
I
that's the
feel you.
reason why I feel like I'm most hurt about Twitch, is because it's just like, damn, you know, like I can only talk to my friends when they're not in their grind mode. And it's like, you know, sometimes it's, you know, it's kind of hard because, you know, I'm over here grinding, doing my thing. Then all my friends are out here grinding, doing their thing. And so like we have to find time, you know, in between to catch up and see how each other are doing. Or like, you know, where moments where like they had a moment on stream where it's like I could have been there with them to say my piece or whatever. It's like, you know, I have to wait till after they get off and then I have to be like, yo, man, congrats on
Bro, I know that
da.
feeling 1,000,000%. Like I'm banned from Twitch and my wife is a Twitch streamer and I can't be on her stream with her, so it's pretty fucking weird. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I know all about
Like,
it.
you know, like it's not a monetary thing at all, you know?
Yeah, it's like the meme of like the kid that's like inside, like watching his friends play outside, and he's just like upstairs in his room, like the little
The fucking SpongeBob, like the SpongeBob meme.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
SpongeBob meme, yeah.
yeah, like how do you think I
Squidward.
feel? Yo, Gideon, how do you think the fuck I feel? So after I gifted Kai 20 subs, miraculously my shit got hit for fraud. Now, mind you, I've had that account since 2014. So it's just like, damn, I was trying to support, you know, throw him like 20 gifted, and then I lose my fucking account after. So I'm right there on that SpongeBob meme with you. Like I can't even watch people's streams. I gotta go on desktop just to see some shit and I can't even log in. So I get where you're coming from, but it was never like a shot like that. But ask yourself this question. So if I would have never had that like that type of arrogance and said this and that on the video, you would have never found out who the fuck I was. Like
No,
the way I do.
no. You can't even say that, like, you know, because one of my best friends, the reason I found him is because all he would do is just comment on every video, being like, "Oh man, that was a great video." Da da da
Yeah.
da. It wouldn't be on no stuff like, "Yo man, we need a collab." He would literally just showing love, and I just hit him up, and I was like, "Yo man, like, yo, you always showing love on my videos," and I was like, "Where you stay at?" He was like, "Oh, I stay in Houston." I was like, "What the fuck? I'm in Houston," and then we became friends. So like, I feel like you shouldn't have that mindset of, oh, I gotta say the most outlandish things, or you know, be out there like that and say something crazy to get people's attention, because you know how your first impression goes a long way. You feel me? So, I'm one to talk too, because a lot of people are like that with me, where it's just like, you know, my first impression with them is like they're like, what the fuck? Look at this dude. But then like over time they get to know the real me and stuff like that. But
I think after a while too, when you start to become a bigger content creator, you actually start to specifically avoid people that are negative, because what you start to learn is when you give those people attention, everybody tries to build careers off of being haters. And it's like the most annoying fucking thing in the world when you know that some dude is on some wild shit because he's holy shit, she's in here.
Hi, Annalisa.
Oh God, you removed me from Discord. I didn't know you were still on my server. But yeah, when you start giving those types of people attention, they like everybody starts to talk shit about you because everybody just wants to get on your radar so that they can be a part of your like orbit and shit.
But you know the fuck thing, nobody ever put into light. So remember when you went to like the world's most racist neighborhood? So I reacted to that video on stream, and I was agreeing with everything you said. This would be way before you knew who I was. Nobody clipped that, and I was labeled like some black guy. Like people they'll like Photoshop me with a fucking Confederate flag on. So it's like nobody showcased. Like I've really been rocking with your content for a while, but nobody showcased that. But I don't know. I got this weird fucked up type of stigma on the internet where I'm a small content creator, but when I say shit, for some miraculous reason it sticks. Like I said, it's probably my delivery, but I guess maybe there's something I need to work on. But it was never any like ill will at all. I've never been like, man, fuck Gideon, man, I hate this motherfucker. Was nothing like that. So just want to throw that out there. I've always checked out your content and supported it.
Hey man, that's love, bro. That's love, and I really appreciate that. And I'm gonna start peeping yours, and yeah, man. Like I really don't like to have any ill will towards anybody because I feel like everybody in here is trying to get it. Everybody in here is a content creator, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't have any hate.
Yeah, man.
I like to see people succeed.
And that's why I have respect for Destiny. Like I don't like to come in here to like try to like like get clips or nothing like that. I just genuinely just like coming in here and like because whether I agree or disagree is just everybody's just working towards something, and I feel like that's the common goal. We all love this platform. Everybody in chat, man, chat's being great hosts. So shout out to everybody in chat. Shout out to everybody in this Discord. I'm gonna go get me some pizza, and I gotta go celebrate the Astros won, so I gotta go to the parade. But everybody in chat, be sure to like the stream.
Wait,
I'm out of
Gideon.
What's good?
Yeah, not everyone's a content creator. Annalisa, she's not a content creator.
What is Annalisa?
Hold on, she's here. Yep, she's here.
I
think it's really interesting. I think that it was so at certain points I would have some people who would send me the stream so that I could hear whatever the black men that you were having conversations with earlier were saying. And I think it's interesting how black men come up here and tell on themselves, first of all.
Wait, what?
I also think that it's interesting how black men come up here and just affirm everything that I've said. Absolutely.
Wait, who are you?
Hold on. You're coming in really hot.
Hold on. I'm not trying to come in hot. I just think that, and I'm not going to get hot. First of all, my throat hurts. Like I'm not a fucking superhero. But I think that it's really interesting because some of the things what's really funny? Every archetype of the black men that I described yesterday that are negatively contributing to either the culture, the community. I think it's interesting that the black men that and again, these are the ones that claim to be the good black men, right?
True. Yeah.
So I think Abba, I don't want to have a problem with you, but I don't appreciate sometimes you have to learn the temperature of the room, and sometimes the ad libs and the condescension and sarcasm, sometimes it's gratuitous. So let's just have the conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I really want to.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Let's keep the temperature low in here if we can.
I'm out the loop. I'm kind of out the loop.
Okay,
Gideon, run.
God, this is
my ad libs are only in honor of the Migos passing. So that's it.
All right. See, already. See, that's what I'm saying.
Don't let
me. Blank slate.
What is your?
No,
beef
I'm
with
trying to
black
hold
men?
on. Wait a minute. I'm
No.
trying to.
No. What is your beef with black men? What do you have against black men?
So I'm literally coming up here and to have a conversation, and then this is what you're doing.
No, you, bro. I don't know who you are, so I'm trying.
Right. So why don't you let me finish speaking?
You're not saying nothing. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, I don't know what. That's a different kind of problem.
Okay,
that's a different kind of problem.
Gideon, just to bridge the gap, Gideon, she's somebody who, follows.
No, I can speak for myself. No, I can speak. Just
sound like
allow
you're
me to
not. Go
speak.
ahead.
Okay, I asked you, what are you on about? Can you please tell me what you're
He's
on about?
cutting me off, and it's like allow me. I can speak for myself. I'm
To the
fine.
stage.
Everything's
You
okay.
got it. You got it. You got it. Let me hear you.
So I think it's interesting that every archetype or every type of issue that we're having in the Black community, you saw one by one come up here and talk to Destiny. You saw the hopeless and absolutely conquered. There's nothing that they can do, and this is just the way that it is. You saw the what's the problem with having a whole bunch of women and being in an open relationship on my end and closed on her end, and someone who tried to justify otherwise degenerate behavior, even in a marriage or within a relationship. Okay. And if you guys think for 1 minute that people come up here to make arguments that they don't themselves adhere to in some way, or at least identify with in some way, you're crazy. First of all.
Okay. So
second of all, hold on.
Okay, my bad.
Second of all,
right now, Gideon, she's referencing people that came on my stream earlier. So
earlier.
Yeah, okay, this is nobody now. Okay,
nobody now, but I think she's probably getting there. She's warming up. Okay, go ahead, Anna.
So you had the Black man who said there's nothing that they can do. They have to carry their guns. They simply must. So that's one. And then you had the hyper promiscuous one who was really only concerned with his ability to access as many women as he wants. Really, we know that this is a problem in the Black community. We also know that this problem obviously leads to the fractured homes in the Black community. And then now you have who's the gentleman here? LTG.
Low tier God.
Yes.
Right. So now we have LTG, and I don't want to be disrespectful to you, because I don't know you, and I really want to have this conversation with you because what you're saying really breaks my heart. I expect it from the white man at the top, but your position is extremely heartbreaking for me because you've completely you've resigned yourself entirely from the Black community, so much so that you don't even date Black women. Which is also that's also interesting to me. And if you think that that's not intrinsically connected and linked, that's absurd.
One thing, I'm gonna let you continue. Every relationship I've had with a Black woman has been domestic from their end. I've been hit and socked and pulled and busted lip from every Black woman that I've dated.
Okay.
So why would I go back if every Black woman has beaten me that I've been in a relationship with? Continue.
Okay. So again, I told you that. Well, that's. I'll put that to the side for now. I'm only bringing that up because I want to make the correlation between your mentality and the fact that you think that the system is just what it is, and you've resigned yourself entirely. And the sad part is that, first of all, Lav and anybody else, and Steven especially, who's coming, who for whatever reason said that I didn't think that anything could be done. That's a lie. I never, ever said that. My position was never a hopeless one. My position was that if we can't agree, it's hopeless. My position is that if accountability is not placed at the feet of the individuals where it belongs, it is hopeless. So for you guys to come up here and superimpose your positions and try to act like that was mine, that's a problem. I don't have the same sentiments as LTG at all. I think that there are absolutely things that you can do. Absolutely. Politically, economically, socially, and familially. I think it's absurd that you guys really, really want him to just lean. You want him to drown into that victimhood. You love it. And he loves it too. But I think that it's...
So what would you prescribe men to do?
Are you kidding me?
What would you prescribe men to do? Because I think that LTG is describing everything that you've laid out for men to take personal accountability.
Before you continue, do you date Black men?
Personal accountability also means in your community. Personal accountability doesn't mean you divorce yourself from your community and your Blackness. That's not how that works.
So you believe in like a tribalism.
Personal accountability.
I don't live in the hood. I denounce my Blackness.
That's not what I said. But if you want to kind of like deduce it to that, that's cool.
I haven't denounced my Blackness. I've evolved. I'm a new age Black.
No, whatever that means. What I'm saying
Black means that we don't make excuses for being Black. We're Black in America. We try to succeed. We don't blame what happened hundreds of years ago as to the reason why.
Here's the thing, LTG. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, because you come up here saying you're a new age black man. You come up here and saying that you don't blame anybody. But if you don't think that you sound like a victim when you say there's nothing that you can do, if you don't think that you sound like a victim when you say, oh, well, could we do what the Jews did? No, we couldn't. So this is, it was written, it was destined. That is, if that's not a victim psychology, I don't know what is.
Let me ask you a question. Who was the first civilization to sail the seas? Was it Africans or Vikings?
What? It's 2022. What's your point?
No, listen to the question. So the when I say it was written, the first people to sail the seas literally
I'm not doing
Vikings to conquer everything. Now listen
Hold on, wait, chill, hold on. Anna, you did this linking me shit from 1964. You wanted to talk history, okay? He's allowed to talk history too. Okay.
No, hold on. No. I use that.
I'm giving you a quick example. I'm giving you a quick example of how order can be set.
And it better be happening right now today.
Let him flesh out his point.
Yeah, go.
I'll give you a quick example of why shit is the way it is today. Because Africans, we didn't sail the seas. Vikings sailed the seas, started fucking Asians, fucking blacks, fucking everybody, right? Implemented their seed, took a risk. Now, if any other ethnicity decided to do that, that's who would be in the upper echelon of everything. The reason why people are the way they are is because that's the way it was fucking written. So I believe in a multiverse. So I believe there's a multiverse where black people are in charge, white people are in charge, Hispanics are in charge, Asians are in charge. We're in the fucking multiverse where blacks, we're just simply not in charge. So why are we complaining about something we just can't fucking fix? Instead of just, doing like me, right? Doing like Abba, doing like Jitty, and really just getting our shit together instead of making excuses. If I go on Twitter and complain, there's nothing I can fix in the black community. If Abba goes on Twitter and complains, there's nothing he can fix in the black community. If Gideon does it, there's nothing he can fix. And we all have numbers, we all have reach, but that fixes nothing in the black community. So it can't be fixed. What you can do is fix yourself as an individual. And it sounds to me like maybe you've dated black men who have fucked you over, who have cheated, this and that.
Oh my God, I'm not you. No one's beating on me. This is what I'm saying.
No, I didn't beat on anybody. Women beat on me.
Okay, well, but I'm not. What I'm saying is I'm not you. I'm saying that I'm not you. But listen to what I'm saying, because I understand the personal accountability, and yes, that's my position. But the problem that I have with what you're saying is, there's nothing that we can do. You're college educated, right?
Yeah, of course. I got 2 degrees.
Okay. Ooh. So when I was talking about Pookies and Ray Rays, and again, you guys misrepresented what I said, which is a problem, but whatever. When I was talking about Pookie and Ray Ray, what do you think is? First of all, it was an analogy or a metaphor, maybe. But Pookie and Ray Ray, really and truly, you could be a Pookie and Ray Ray.
Impossible.
You and let me tell you how and
Impossible.
why. Can I tell you how and why?
All right, I'm gonna turn into it right now. All right, so what was that? So
okay,
you said Abba, right?
I'm trying to have a serious conversation in good faith,
and you can't keep saying Pookie and Ray Ray so you want to be serious.
We're just keeping it light. He's just keeping it light.
You want me to talk like a Pookie? I could do that. All right, so what's good?
Right. Okay. So no, I can explain it. I'll explain it.
All right, say less.
Pookie and Ray Ray. Here's the difference. Pookie and Ray Ray's in the hood. They're being degenerates, but you date out, right? So any wealth that you acquire or accumulate over your lifetime, where do you think who is going to get access to that wealth? Do you think?
As far as like the type of woman that I decide, my archetype.
That's right.
I mean, I've seen your pictures. I mean, you look like you would be my type. You got the peanut butter skin, mocha skin. I've seen the hair length. I usually do biracial or above. The reason why I do that is because if I do 100% black, it hits too close to home for me. Both my mom and my sister are dark-skinned women. So if I date a dark-skinned woman, it just hits too close to home. I'm not going to get 100% erected by dating someone that looks exactly like my fucking sister, my mom. So I like to date more, culturally mixed type of people. So I've always been attracted to the light-skinned girl in the yard. So when I was in third grade,
how come you can ad-lib him, but I can't ad-lib you? Stop.
I'm not laughing.
No. Stop. Let him talk.
I've seen her picture. So you're the type of girl, right? And in third grade, you're the type of girl I was attracted to. I like the light-skinned girl with the long hair. I like that. But when I traveled out of that area, I started to discover more things. Wait a minute. Ooh, Spanish pieces. Ooh, wait a minute. Becky's? Excuse me, I'm saying Becky's. I guess that means white women. What sounds better to you, Becky or white woman? You choose. What was that?
Stacy.
Okay, we'll do Stacy's. All right, so I decided to step out of my comfort zone because I was like, wait a minute, me and black women bump heads. Now, I like the empowerment of black women. I think black women have got it together more than black men, right? They want to go to college. They want to, I love Candace Owens. I like what she's doing, right? She's holding black people accountable. Most black men, they just want to sit on here and complain on social media and this and that with a hood accent, right? Do you want me to talk in a hood accent for you? I could flip it like a light switch. Would you like that, or you want me to keep going with intellect?
I want you to keep having this conversation with me. I'm doing my very, very best, and it's difficult
Oh,
for
that's
me.
fine.
So
That's
I
fine.
want, I would respect if you could do your best.
My thing is this: I would date a black woman if she fit my archetype, and it's a preference. I'm not 100% against dating black women, but you must be biracial in order for me to rock with you. Why? Because biracial women are more toned. They're less ghetto. Even though you're yelling, it's like it's like a beautiful yell. It's not a ghetto.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
Damn,
No,
bro.
listen real quick. It's not a ghetto, annoying. It's more like, okay, I can deal with this. Like I don't mind. There's a little bit of sentimental shit right there. But for me to just straight up date a bonquisha archetype, that's just not my style. It's a preference. So when you say, will a black woman get access to that? There's a possibility. It's not completely out the window, but you must meet my archetype. And black men, we love our archetypes because we don't want to date women that really look like our moms and sisters. We need something a little bit spicy. We're tired of seeing the bonquishas, the fucking Mercedes, the diamonds. We need something that's out of our community that looks different. And we could actually thank the Jewish people and everybody else who scattered us all over the world as to why we could walk down the street with a Latino or some chick that looks not 100% black. And I'm thankful for that. Go ahead.
So actually, I think that you're worse than Pookie and Ray Ray, and I'm going to tell you why.
Damn.
I think that you're worse than Pookie and Ray Ray because not only do you clearly have a sense of self-hatred, it's seething and it's obvious, and that breaks my heart as well.
Mm-mm.
And I understand that your experiences, because you put that out there, and you said that you I think you talked earlier about your childhood just a little bit. But I paid attention, and I think you talked about your experience with Black women and the domestic violence. So that I feel bad about that. But everything else, because those things can be true, and those things can affect the way that you see Black women. It doesn't have to be a permanent. But that's
different styles of black people, though. Do you agree?
Wait a minute. That doesn't have to be permanent, but the reason why it's going to be permanent, because you don't really have a sense of love. You don't have a sense of self. And especially when it comes to your Blackness, you really do want to divorce yourself from it, just like you want to divorce yourself from the community. Because here's the thing. I'm not telling you, there are not issues with the system. I think all of the Black men up here have agreed that there are issues. And I think all of the Black men here have sort of said, well, there's not a whole lot that we can do. When in reality, that is objectively not true. It's not true. All of you guys have the influence. If you wanted to, if you collectively wanted to, you could all help to change the culture.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Hold on. Can I finish?
No, I mean, you've been talking a lot. So, if you're gonna call us out, we want to know what you're doing, so we can.
No, I know. I'm really trying to have this conversation with him. To be honest with you.
Okay, then y'all can leave if you want. We're all in here. So,
but the thing is, you don't know what a Pookie and Ray Ray is.
Hold on, hold on.
A Pookie and Ray Ray archetype.
Let me finish speaking, because there is no Pookie and Ray Ray. Only Black men want to say, hey, the Pookies and Ray Rays, they're the ones with the guns, they're the ones with the drugs. But really and truly, you don't even deal with the Black community. You don't even deal with Black women. So what's the difference? Because you're college educated, you think that makes you better than Pookie and Ray Ray?
Absolutely.
I've dated so many Black women. I've tried, and it just does not work. We just bump fucking heads. So that's when I decided.
And you think that has to do with the Black women? You don't think that has anything?
Do you think you've dated educated Black women? Like what? Because you said you don't want like the bonquishas. Like, have you dated educated women of like your or like higher than your education level?
Yeah, I mean, I've dated chicks that are biracial. Usually, those are the types that, to me, we fit better because there's some sort of balance. When you got that 100% Black blood and you're a sister, I can't. I got to be careful because I've been uppercut. I mean, I've been elbowed, I've been kicked, I've You know, I remember
I
there was
think
a
the problem is that you're like ascribing now like a violent gene to black women is the only problem.
I mean, I believe that's so. I mean, have you seen the World Star Hip Hop videos of, you know, the whole
Come on,
Aren't you
man,
just
my
talking
fucking
about
white
the
guilt's
negative?
kicking
Aren't
in.
you just
Jesus.
talking about the negative effects of World Star Hip Hop on black men?
I mean, yeah, that's a negative effect on black culture in
Right.
general, for sure.
Right.
But we
So,
agree on something.
so now when it comes to black women, you ascribe to it and you believe it.
I mean, I believe that as far as just black women, World Star Hip Hop is bad for blacks in general. Like it gives a bad depiction of us.
But it seems like you're describing like a primal urge for black women, whereas like with men, it's just culture and you're like above it, like
I
naturally.
feel like black women act better when they're dating a guy that's white or Hispanic. You know, they treat them like kings. Now, when they get with us, they like, oh, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, blah blah blah. First off,
Yeah, that's all
I'm not
women,
going
bro.
to date a woman that I cannot throw into a pool, and she's mad about the hair not getting natted.
That's all
just
women,
not.
bro.
Yeah, I think that's all.
I mean, but yeah, if I toss my Latina or my my mixed my Afro Latina or my mixed chick in the pool, yeah, she's gonna recover a little bit faster. But if she got that fresh lace front end and I throw her in the pool, oh, I'm definitely getting uppercutted.
So Anna,
hold on, Lev. I don't respectfully. Hold on. LTG,
bro, he doesn't want to fucking date you. Like, why are you trying to get him black girls? He doesn't like black girls.
Don't do that.
Anna,
don't do that. Don't do
what's
that.
your name?
Ian, I saw what you look
can
like.
do
You're the
about it.
last person to speak to me.
Annalicia.
Oh no,
Annalicia.
he's a big, handsome black man. Pause.
Annalicia, can I ask
Hold
you a
on,
question?
hold on. No, LTG, one second.
Are you biracial?
No, I'm not.
Then why are you light skinned with long hair?
I have no idea.
You're biracial.
Weren't you guys the one up here saying, "Oh, we don't know where we came from. We have it's like having."
That's true, but you're biracial. Your features, I seen you yesterday. I got on the stream. I said, "Wow, who is this?" You had a smooth nose.
Oh my god.
You had a smooth nose. Your face was a different symmetrical. You didn't have any hardcore African features. So if we did a 23andMe, I would guarantee that a chunk of your percentage is not 100% black. You're a biracial woman.
Low tier God, what do you mean by hardcore?
Listen, wait a minute.
features?
You're not going to sit up here and tell me what I am.
If you put me next to an African man, I look like we're talking about like somebody from Ghana. I have an African homie. We stand next together. I look nothing like it. Why? Because they're Scottish running through me. There's European running through me. Everybody that was in my lineage was not black. Just enough black people fucked to have me black sitting here in front of you. But I understand that. Some of my forefathers were not black. That's why I'm able to sit here and have this conversation with you.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out if you're really being like you really just don't like you don't like yourself. You don't like black people.
I love being black.
If you love being black, you would want to have black kids.
I mean, handsome black man. I mean, handsome black man. But here's the thing. Did you know that being biracial actually is a plus genetically?
No, but did you know that that's a myth?
Did you know that biracial kids actually excel
So this
at a higher percentage than regular black children?
Let them have the conversation.
This is it's not that
Let them
this
have the
conversation.
conversation.
This
Let the
isn't
two
a
of them go at each other.
conversation.
Have
This
the
is getting
conversation. Let them go.
personal.
Let them go.
No,
this isn't personal.
They're both talking about how they hate black men and black women.
Yes, you don't need
this isn't personal.
You don't need the allies.
Hold on, wait a minute. Why are you saying that I hate black men, Steven?
Anna, because he's the antithesis of you, and you don't realize it.
No, he's not, because I think that the black community can absolutely be improved, and he does not.
He's
you believe in separatism.
If you're going to say things or give this tacit approval to people that are saying things like abort all black babies.
No, but that's not what I said.
That might not be what you say, but those are the people that you vibe with. Those are the videos that you link me, and those are the speakers that you tell me.
So you're freshly fit then. So you believe what they believe. Because you were on their podcast, right?
Anna, can I ask you a question?
I don't recommend fresh and fit videos to understand my ideology.
Wait, is that what she did?
But you go on their platform.
To argue with them. Yeah, like you're on my platform. You don't agree with me, right? You're on my platform.
So hold on. You go on their platform. You don't agree with them. I don't even go on Cynthia's platform. And it's not even like I'm promoting her videos. We were having a conversation.
You were literally promoting her videos. You literally linked me like how many of them yesterday in DMs telling me to watch them.
It had to do with the conversation. I'm saying in my real life, I don't promote anyone. So for you to sit up here and say that,
I have a question.
I
have a question that can easily differentiate whether Anna.
Wait, hold on. Just
look,
hold on, guys. Let them have the one.
As loud as Anna's getting, you know what? It's soothing.
I want to ask a question that differentiates.
As loud as she's getting is soothing because to me, this is music to my ears.
Because the things that you were saying were truly heartbreaking, and unfortunately, I mean, I know that everybody thinks that I hate black men, but I really don't. And if I did, I would come up here and I would be championing everything that you're saying, and I would be self-hating along with you.
With the
But
wrong type of black man.
unfortunately, I do believe that black men can do better, and I don't think that.
Can you explain that to us now?
1 second. I don't think that every black person needs to be a millionaire tomorrow, and I don't think that it's going to be easy. But I know for a fact that there can be incremental and marginal improvements made over time. That's how change works. It is not instantaneous. It happens over time.
Yo,
but when you have a mentality like yours and any other defeated black man who came up here and said, there's nothing that we can do. We got to pick up these guns. We have to sell these drugs. We have to be in open relationships.
She was talking about the guy earlier. She's talking about the guy earlier.
I didn't say pick up the fucking guns.
No, she was talking about the guy earlier.
Okay, I have to go soon, so I just want to ask this question. Anna, do you believe that when it comes to like changes in the black community, et cetera, that there is a level of systemic change that can improve the black community?
Yeah, that's what I wanted her to say.
I do believe that, but I do believe that black people have to initiate that systemic change. I believe that I believe that they absolutely can.
I don't think so. I think we want free Gucci instead.
That is the difference between me and you. If I hated myself and I'd resigned myself to anything that had to do with the black community, I would be sitting up here with you, championing, high-fiving you, talking about how much I don't want to deal with and how ghetto. The fact that you guys can really sit up here and
I don't want to be in the hood. I don't want to live around black people.
And I actually feel disrespected that
do you
people
live in a black neighborhood?
I feel disrespected.
Well, I mean,
you live around blacks?
If your opinion is that he's somehow self-loathing and he has some kind of subconscious bias that he can't see and it's driving him to be, self-loathing or whatever, that's fine. But most black men you've interacted with online have the same prescription for you. Yesterday, I literally listened to you sit here and say that black men individually should suffer prejudice because of the group identity of black men and how they're perceived in the media. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that there's a lot of ways in which you interact with people online and address it. It is what you said. I'll play back. Okay, whatever.
She also labeled me a Pookie and Ray Ray when there's different styles of black men.
She said you were worse.
I want to appreciate. All right, are you going to keep talking over? Cool.
Hold on, wait, chill. Let guys. Okay, hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Hold on. Everybody, take a deep breath. Okay, hold on. I'm not staying up until fucking 5 a.m. Okay, we're not doing a 1 hour conversation in 6 hours because every motherfucker is screaming and talking over themselves. Okay, so most people, you guys are mostly doing okay. Chill. Anna, you need to fucking hurry up with your answers because you talk a lot. Low tier God, you're doing fine. Jaden, you're doing fine. Everybody's just trying to talk over each other. Okay, Lab, you're doing great. Everybody's doing fine. Just trying to talk over each other and try to move along with your answers a little bit faster. Okay, go ahead. Good luck.
All right, and just to wrap it up, I just think it's interesting that you feel comfortable enough to ascribe to low tier God a subconscious bias that he can't see, but you are 100% certain that you have zero subconscious biases against black men, even though every black man you've interacted online says that you have disdain for them.
Okay, so Abba, if I had a bias for black men, which is again, you think that I hate all black men and I think that they're this and that, why do I believe that they can improve their situation in their communities if I have a bias against them? Why?
Blueprint. Give us the blueprint. Don't ask him the question. Give us the blueprint.
I'm talking to Abba. Why is that, Abba? If I'm up here and I'm trying to talk to this black man who I'm absolutely heartbroken about his worldviews and his positions as a result of his self-hate and self-loathing, why would I care? Why would I care?
Because consciously you may still want good things for black folks, but subconsciously you may have negative opinions about black men that...
I tell you how I feel about the negative things that black men are doing in the communities. I may say, and I may say it in a way that's hyperbolic. I may say it in a way that's vitriolic, but I'm absolutely overt with the way that I feel when it comes to the negativity and the destruction that black men are contributing to their position in society and the black community. But if I also believe that they can change it, where's the bias?
Why are you just saying black men though? Like, why are you not including?
I'm talking to Abba. Talking to Abba.
Okay. The bias lies in the ways in which you engage in these conversations. The kind of
no. Okay, then Kevin.
All right.
Then everybody has.
You're going to ask me a question I can't answer. Okay, all right. Well, listen, I'll let you just go. Speak to yourself or speak into the void. I really don't care.
Yeah, no.
Congratulations.
I have a question.
You are fantastic at facilitating.
I have a question because I feel like I know where I know where the disconnect is because I think that both of you guys obviously talk about personal responsibility and value it. I think the only difference is that a low tier God doesn't feel a responsibility to the black community, and it feels like Anna, you really believe maybe not in separatism, but sort of like tribalism, and you feel like black people have a responsibility for each other. Okay, that's what it's coming across as.
Maybe
That's what it's coming across as. So correct me if I'm wrong.
I know I will. So it's not that I think that Black people, I think that if any change is going to be made, that is going to require a level of conscious organization. You need to have a militant approach. That doesn't mean you have to sit around and talk about, oh, I hate white people all day. Oh, well, no, hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, we have to collectively at least have an understanding of what is the problem, what's pervasive and what's pervading in the Black community, whether it is behavior, conditioning, systemic, whether it is.
Okay, wait. Can we shortcut all this? Can we shortcut all this? Low tier God asked you, what's the blueprint? So we understand that you're saying there needs to be consciousness about the problems. What's the blueprint? What do you want people like him to do?
What's bullet points?
Well, I have to know why I have to know where the self-loathing comes from. I have to know why he wants to divorce himself from himself.
Oh my
He
God.
already explained. Hold on. Wait. What? No. He's already explained all of this. Talk on it. You've heard him say why he doesn't date Black women. You've heard him say, yeah, go.
So because you've been in abusive relationships with Black women, and again, I mean, it's kind of difficult because it's one-sided, right? You're saying that you were the one that was being beaten on, but nobody really knows, and I don't know how.
Hold on, don't focus on him. Give the overall blueprint for the Black.
No, stop trying to police my answer.
Because you're trying to make it
sound like disrespecting.
No, because it has to make this. If I'm going to answer the question, I have to have a full picture and I have to have the full scope of what's happening.
So you can't give a general blueprint to the Black community. You have to talk to every single Black man.
You're asking me for a blueprint, and you think that it's going to just stop.
Destiny, kick this bitch!
Stop! No, shot, Gideon. Stop!
But you know what, Destiny? No,
we need her.
Destiny, I have to appreciate something. No, Destiny, I have to appreciate every Black man that you brought on to have conversations with her has grown to hate her and find her insufferable to the point where conversations are impossible. Let me speak, Lav. Shut up, Lav. Shut up. So what I'm saying is, in this moment, I think you have to appreciate the way in which she interacts with other Black men on these platforms is absolutely toxic to the point that it makes people actually incredibly mad. And so I think there's an understanding that Janine has where she doesn't facilitate any conversation, cuts people off, and avoids answers. So
Abba, I agree with you. Abba, I agree with you. That's why I'm trying to. I'm trying to get her to answer the question because she's extremely combative. But
women like this.
No, she's not just incredibly combative. Like the things that she says about Black men, I understand why people get so upset. And Gideon has experienced it for the first time. So whilst his response was out of pocket to some degree, you have to understand Annalisa has been sitting up here and been saying crazy things about Black men for multiple days, and he's just getting the taste.
Same way about Black men. She feels the exact same way about Black men.
Can I respond? Can I respond, please?
Can you just give a blueprint instead of doing this pointless argument?
No. So Abba can say what and I can't respond to what he's saying.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Annalisa, before we continue,
hold on one second. LTG, 1 second.
Hold on, wait. This is a compliment. This is a compliment.
Interesting that Abba is upset that I'm saying what I'm saying about Black men, but before I got up here, all of you guys were talking about what they are negatively doing and how they're contributing and how there's nothing that can be done. And I am the only one that thinks that there is something that can be done.
All of us think something can be done. We're asking
you.
You're
the
literally, you are literally the only one here that hasn't told us what you think should be done. Everyone here gave an answer. You haven't said shit yet because you're trying to fucking psychoanalyze low tier God over here.
I have to understand what his issue is.
No, you don't. You don't understand the issue with every single individual Black man to give it. Sorry, go. LTG and Anna, go.
I got to ask her a question. I got to ask Annalisa a question. First off, I want to tell you your voice does not annoy me. I'm not offended. I'm enjoying this. Second off,
I don't care. Honestly, whichever like Black women are in the chat, I just hope that they're paying attention to this.
Wait a second. Listen real quick. So I got to ask you this question about Black men. Are there different styles of Black men? Like, so let me... All right, do you understand the question real quick before I continue?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so there's different styles of Black men. You labeled me into the realm of a Pookie and Ray Ray. A Pookie and Ray Ray is somebody like this. All right, so basically, look, this is the way I'm gonna explain this shit, you feel me? I'm full of fillers, I'm uneducated. On top of that, I'm loaded with tattoos. I got a bunch of jewelry on. I need all this fucking designer and bravado, so on and so forth. You know, that's what you label in a Pookie and Ray Ray. I don't understand structure. I don't understand family values. I'm fucking with multiple women. I got a bunch of different chicks pregnant. Mind you, I have no children. Mind you, there's no multiple baby mamas. I'm not in that Pookie and Ray Ray atmosphere. I would put myself in the same realm. I am like a Michael B. Jordan, Will Smith archetype with a little bit of swagger. Not a little bit, a lot more swagger. There's different styles. There's Lenny Kravitz blacks. There's goon blacks. There's there's Gideon blacks. There's fucking ABBA black. We come in so many different styles.
Okay, I understand. So, what I'm gonna say to that is,
all right, wait, 1 second. Before I finish, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna let you talk because I don't mind hearing you talk. All right, so when can I ask you a question? Do you have children?
Of course she does.
Okay, so you have children. So is your kid's father black? Where did she go?
She doesn't answer personal questions like that.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think maybe there's a little bit of resentment based off past issues to the point where maybe you dealt with the Pookie and Ray Ray. Have you ever heard of Pookie and Ray Ray articulate themselves like this? Have you went on my YouTube channel? Do I look like a Pookie and Ray Ray? Check the Instagram. I'm far from a Pookie and Ray Ray. You know what? There's actually girls. Real quick. There's actually girls that have never fucked with a black guy, but wait a minute, I fit the meta because I attract all types of women. Pookie and Ray Rays cannot attract Beckys. They cannot attract Latinas. Like I've went ahead and broke the barrier. I've dated Chinese girls from San Gabriel that never fucked with black guys before. Why? Because I'm not a Pookie and Ray Ray.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
So here's the problem that I have.
Also,
and again, Pookie and Ray Ray is an archetype. It's an idea, and in a lot of ways, it's an analogy. It's right, but it also represents a member of the Black community that is otherwise not contributing and destructive in some way. If you know that in the Black community that the Black family is fractured, if you know that the marriage rates are low and the divorce rates are high, if you know that any issue that happens in society, and it also obviously affects the Black community, only it's compounded and it's worse because they're already in a marginalized position. If you know that, then you marrying out is just as destructive as what Pookie and Ray Ray do. That's the point.
Okay, so
Anna, is your prescription for low tier god to marry interracially? If you had to give a prescription.
Right. So no, but we're past the reason that we're past that is because he doesn't like himself.
Okay, but let's say he loves.
Why don't you just let low tier god respond? Like, I don't understand.
Because you guys are trying to milk Anna and make her a lol cow, and that's stupid. I think that they can get to a middle ground.
Let low tier god respond. He doesn't need a white savior. You're fine.
It's not a fucking white savior. You guys are trying to
yes. Every time you come into these spaces, you're always like, I can do it for you. Let him respond.
I'm not doing it for her. I'm literally asking the questions that you guys won't ask because you want to see her talk herself in circles. Ask a fucking question.
I asked her 15 questions.
Okay, great. So if low tier god, let's say we believe low tier god and he loves himself. What prescription would you give to him?
So obviously, any Black man in the Black community, if you are affluent, if you are educated, it would behoove you, or it would be advantageous to your community. If you're thinking about generational wealth, if you're thinking about building Black families and communities, it would be advantageous for everybody if you obviously married Black women and had Black children and gave them that structure, and you gave them that socioeconomic advantage. So that
which makes sense. Unfortunately, it's just a separatist argument.
What's up, Gideon?
So what would you say to that?
Wait, Gideon, what is it?
What do Black women need to do, Anna?
They're doing what they need to do. They are.
Lab, she didn't.
But
oh my God, Lab, just shut up and let them have the conversation. We don't want to hear a white woman.
You talk for fucking low tier god. I can't be on.
This is not about you. This is not about
you. We don't want to hear a white feminist to inject her theory every 5 minutes. Just shut up. All the Black people want you to shut up.
Oh my God.
Anna, what do Black women need to do?
Abba, you're a piece of shit. You're an anti-Semitic piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Levine, I like your sweater.
Okay, we're good. Everybody's got. Okay, we all got our feelings out.
Anna, what does Black women need to do?
About what?
About the destruction of the Black family, because it takes two to tango.
They should continue doing what they're doing. They should continue getting their education. They should continue rearing their children the best that they can, obviously, with the resources and tools that they have. They should continue. Black women bought up some land in Georgia to build homes for Black men, women, and children. They should continue that. They are growing in entrepreneurship. They should continue that because we know that entrepreneurship and economic mobility puts them in a great position. They should continue basically doing what they're doing. Basically.
So your Black women are doing nothing wrong right now.
That's not what I said. You said what should they do?
Oh, okay, you know what? I did say that. I did say that.
Do you know what the Black woman archetype is right now? You know what most Black women look towards too for role models now? Instead of Mariah Carey, she was biracial, but instead of Mariah Carey, they're looking at Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Ari Fletcher, so on and so forth. So it starts with the Black woman's role model. So if your role model is Megan Thee Stallion as a Black woman, I mean, me and you can't vibe because she preaches promiscuity. Cardi B preaches promiscuity. All of the Black women that are role models, quote unquote, in that role model position, because whether you like it or not, when you have, a certain amount of money and a certain amount of fame, you automatically become a role model. Even though I'm a small content creator, regardless, there's people that tell me I've taught them this and I taught them that. So if I have influence with my small audience, what do you think somebody like Megan Thee Stallion has that teaches promiscuity? It starts with the Black woman.
You know what's even crazier? Lil Tier God, fucking Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion, they're all booed up.
Exactly.
I think that's the craziest thing about it. They all talk about, oh, girl, let any nigga eat you out. He a munch.
Yeah. You got to buy me a bag. Like, look what's
all
being
these
preached.
girls are booed up. Every single one of those female have a man.
So you guys, are you guys saying that these
so
female rappers,
your leaders are leading you into a ditch? Is basically what's happening. They're telling you to do one thing, but them themselves are getting strong men and leading you guys astray.
So what's really interesting is if that's going to be your argument, then Black men are doing the same thing. They're telling you to sell drugs. They're telling you to shoot each other and kill each other. Only they're insulated from some of those consequences because they have money and those Black men in the Black community don't.
I don't hear guys saying in songs, "Yo, guys, sell drugs." They talk about them selling drugs, which is
I'm not going to have this conversation.
It's not good, but they're not telling you to sell drugs.
Yeah, women actually tell you
to cheat on your nigga, get your pussy eaten out,
get this bag,
cheat on him, hot girl summer. But you're not hearing any rapper tell you to sell drugs.
Is this really your argument? Like you guys are really you're hyper focusing on the Cardi B's, who, mind you, in comparison to rap and Black men are a small minority. Are you really making that comparison right now? Is that really your move?
All right.
I think they were just asking you what you thought about those Black women.
And Alicia.
And I think that they make.
And Alicia, can I ask you a question? Who do you think is more replicated in the Black community, Candace Owens or Megan Thee Stallion?
Are these is it like? I feel like I'm
going to ask you. I just want to engage.
You got to engage with the questions.
I'm not going to be and trolled. I'm trying.
No, I'm not trolling. No, I'm being 100%. I'm not the guy that's trolling.
Really felt bad. Hearing the things that the Black men have been saying today is really, really bad. And you guys don't have any skin in the game, so why the fuck would you care? It's entertainment. Clickbait. It's all click for you. But this is fucked up.
But you didn't answer the question. Who do you think Black women replicate or associate themselves more with? The Ari Fletchers, the Cardi B's, the Megan Thee Stallions, or Candace Owens? Remember, because who has the money and fame, that's who's in power. So I'm asking you that question.
So Candace Owens doesn't have money and fame?
She has money and fame, but I'm telling you, there's probably like a 0.1% of Black girls that want to grow up and be Candace Owens. I promise you.
Well, why is it more than 0.1% Black women that are getting their education?
You said, why is there more?
Right.
Because they want to get guys that aren't Black. I mean, I know tons of chicks that are gearing towards...
That's actually
gearing towards that Caucasian husband.
Right. That's not why they're going to school. They're not going to school because they want to be with non-Black people.
The thing is, Black women are also less confrontational than Black men. So you would have to agree with me on that, correct? So if I go step on a Black man's sneakers, we're probably gonna fight. If I step on a Mexican person's sneakers, I could be like, oh, my bad. He'd be like, all right, fool, just watch where you're going. If I step on a white guy's sneakers, he's like, oh, all right, excuse yourself.
You guys are fucked up people. This
excuse
is really
yourself.
bad.
Like I can go outside right now and get into a fight with 5 black people, and I can go outside right now and not get into a fight with anybody else. I could stare at a black person the wrong way. We're fighting. I could stare at a white guy. He's like, "What the fuck? Like, why is this guy looking at me?" I stare at a Mexican guy. He's like, "Is there a problem, fool?" And walks away. We're black men and I think you got to agree with me with this. We're extremely confrontational. That's why I believe that it cannot be repaired. Now, luckily, we're in a panel with 3 black men that are not confrontational. Gideon, I feel like Gideon is like the Hulk low key, because when some guys are too nice, they're fucking monsters. And then you got Abba here. None of us are confrontational, but there's a style of black men that are confrontational. Those are the Pookie and Ray Ray.
LTG, you would say that. So I guess because you're saying all these things, you would put yourselves in the category of the quote unquote good black man, just like the black man earlier who talked about being in an interracial relationship because he was the good black man, so it was okay. Would you say that's the category that you're putting yourself in?
I wouldn't put myself in the category of the good black man. I would put myself in the category of a new age black. If I was in the category of the black man you didn't like, it would have been problems. So what I've done is, regardless of what you said about me, I complimented your hair, your bone structure, your features, because you don't piss me off. See, that's the thing. Like most black men you're going to deal with, they're going to argue with you. Me, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to let you chew me out, and then I'm going to let it fizzle out, and then we're going to get over shit. So when you say I broke in your heart, I'm pretty sure that I can actually repair it.
Okay, so I promise you, when I'm saying you broke my heart, I don't mean you really. I just mean that it's really sad that you, as a black man, actually most black men today share the same sentiments and the same worldviews about the black community, and then to tie into that,
we'd all be successful.
To tie into all of that, I think it's also interesting that yes, of course, you almost exclusively date outside your race. So I just think that that's interesting. I think that it's really sad. And I think, and I also just want it to be understood that I don't think that you and I are in the same camp. I think that, yes, you and I both agree on personal accountability, but I think that I'm a bit more community minded. And I actually think I'm a bit more realistic, because for you to actually say that the thing about other communities that have been, criminalized, marginalized, or subjugated in some way, they sort of over history made incremental and small changes because most people started out in ghettos, in very degenerate and dangerous ghettos, white and black. The thing is, though, they collected and organized together, they mobilized, and then they moved out of the hood. That's kind of the idea. But if you have that mentality where there's nothing that you can do, where the system is the system, and you just have to kind of, be subservient to it and operate within it, and, to just try to get by, I think that that's fundamentally different than the way that I see the world and the way that I see the potential that black men could have. That's the difference between you and I. That is also the difference, I would say, between black women and black men, because that's why black women are pushing forward despite the adversity, despite the systemic racism and the systemic issues that they face. That is the difference. And that difference is absolutely everything. And I think that
can I ask a question for low tier God?
Sure.
God? So in terms of what she's saying, so part of her argument is that if you have you've broken out of the Pookie and Ray Ray archetype and you become a successful black man, you've got your college degrees, you are pretty successful. How do you feel when she's saying to you, let's say every single successful black man decides to step out of the black community and date elsewhere? Doesn't it just drive black women and the rest of the black community even further into the hole? Or what's your response to that?
Does it drive us farther into the hole? I wouldn't say so. We live in America, right? So everybody has a preference. You ever seen 2 black people in a relationship at Walmart? They look fucking miserable. But when I see a black guy with a Latina, they look like they're in love. When I see I love seeing black women with guys that aren't black, because I know there's a proper balance. So for me, I feel like if we get out and experience, maybe it's for the better. Because the only way we're ever going to see blacks recovered as a whole is if we hop into a cryo sleep machine and awaken 500 years from now. Because we're literally never going to fucking see it.
LTG, can I ask you a question? If you're saying that, black women are just problematic in relationships, why do black men have a 200% divorce rate with white women and other groups of women?
Because they think the grass is greener on the other side. Also, I think marriage is not really a thing for black men, considering we didn't grow up with that type of structured household at a high percentage. So I think that a marriage also is just a contract. I also don't believe that marriage is actually something that helps a relationship. I think honestly it hurts it. It adds dexterities to the relationship. As soon as we sign that contract, it's about finance. It's about tying everything together. So from there, from that point on, you're fucking up the relationship. As soon as we sign that contract, it's no more serendipity. It's literally paperwork. So what is a marriage? It's literally a contract. So
But
whether
that's
we're
not what
divorcing,
my point. My point
whether,
is your
but the thing
issue
is,
is no, that's not my
okay, go
point.
ahead.
My
Go ahead.
point.
Uh-huh.
You don't, and let's understand what a preference is. A preference is, hey, I love two things, but I
Yeah.
like this one a little bit more. Yours is not a preference. You don't date or like to date Black women. Let's be very clear. That's what you
Right.
said.
You're
So that's
black.
not a preference. Right, that's not a preference. That's straight up. They're excluded. Preferences are
No,
inclusive.
black women are not excluded. Black women
No,
are not
that's what
excluded.
you said. You said you don't date Black women.
I mean, yeah, if you said black, because the correct term would have been like, but I do date biracial.
So
Okay,
Anna,
not Black.
I have a question. Do you think Black
That
men
is
need to be
black.
the head of the household for there to be stability back in the Black community? Because that kind of sounds like what you think. Like Black
Wait,
men
Gideon, can you
need to
repeat
be
that?
the like I think Anna's thinking. I think Anna's trying to say that Black men need to be the head of Black women in order for there to be stability back in the Black community.
But black women don't like to be conquered.
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's why I'm asking Anna. I'm asking Anna, is that what you're subscribing to? That you want Black men to get their shit together so they can be the head of the Black, like head of the woman to lead the Black community? Is that what you
For
want?
a community. Yeah.
Anna?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would like ideally. So if my prescription would be for Black men to step up in the communities, in their homes, because a lot of people say, well, if you look at men and women in their relationships, women are a reflection of the men. So based on a social hierarchy, you have men and then you have women. So women most of the time are at the mercy of men. So if you see women in a community failing, you kind of have to look and see what men are doing.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's very fair to say. So,
And
but like, do you not see like, because like when you go on social media now, it's really, really bad where it's Black women saying this about Black men, and then Black guys saying this about Black girls and stuff like that, and it's a never-ending cycle. So, do you not see how like while it is an important issue, do you not see how this is such a surface level issue that really does not need to be talked about like online and just needs to be dealt with individually? Because it's a really broad scheme to just be like Black men aren't showing Black women love because like do you see what I'm saying?
You're asking me if I think that because Black women are saying things on social media that we shouldn't have.
No, it's not just Black women though. It's both. It's both. It's never like Kevin Samuels. Like what do you think about Kevin Samuels?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right. So again, Black women and Black men doing what they're doing on social media. I'm more concerned with the things that we can control. Like we can control the culture, and if you guys don't think that we can, again, that's a problem. So social media is in many ways a part of culture. How much you allow social media to influence and impact your life is a part of culture. So whatever Black women or Black men are saying online, potentially, if we were able to revitalize culture, that those things wouldn't be as because you're saying that it's a big problem and it's all over social media. It would kind of dilute if we could kind of get a hold on these things and not let them have so much control over our lives.
So what was your opinion on Kevin Samuels?
My opinion on him as a what? As what?
Like what he was saying. Did you like him? Did you like what he was saying?
Was he good or bad for the Black community? Like
exactly. Was he good or bad? Was he a good? Was he a Pookie Ray Ray or was he a good one?
So yeah, in terms of the Black community, if you look at the Black community and you look at you just look at the numbers and you look at what's happening. If his message is women, Black women, lower your standards, you're asking for too much, you want too much, and his prescription is sort of exclusively directed to what Black women need to do, change, fix, then I would say that, that is that's not helpful to the Black community because it's not truly representative or indicative of what actually needs to be done, which is that Black men who are falling behind are the ones who should probably step it up, so that there are greater numbers of good quality Black men for good quality Black women to choose from, and have nuclear healthy homes and communities.
You see, I'm so happy you said that, because all the people that he would help, help with their self-look and image and everything, they paid to have him talk to them, right? So all the Black women that you see him talking to, they paid to talk to him. And his main demographic was to help guys. He wanted to help guys better themselves, better their image. He was an image consultant. But then a bunch of women just started, paying just to go back and forth with him. So at the end of the day, when he was trying to help Black men, he couldn't, because he was getting more orders from women trying to debate him and trying to oh, you said da 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 da, when his real message was trying to help men better themselves, be more high value, all this and that. So do you kind of see how it doesn't line up when his message is for men, but women are buying his services? So of course he's going to help women, and when he gives them the truth, then they get mad about it.
Gideon, do you know that Kevin Samuels, and there's actually a video, do you know that Kevin Samuels actually said that when he tried to talk to Black men didn't want to hear it. They were not receptive to the message. They were not willing to accept anything. They had absolutely no interest in it. And he actually said out of his own mouth that if he was to start talking about Black women, he would go viral and he would blow up. So I think, again, that the idea that these women are paying him for their services, again, especially when you have these very marginalized and criminalized communities, women are truly at the mercy of men. So of course, I would expect Black women who are looking, yes, these women are looking to get married. They're looking to have families. They understand the importance that will have on the community. They understand the importance of it, just as a structure. So yeah, it makes sense to me that Black women with low self-esteem are going to call into the show to see what they can do about their situation and their circumstances. And it also makes sense to me that Black men were simply unable and unwilling to, considering the fact that they're not accountable for what's happening in the Black community and what their part is in it.
Well, I mean, I can tell you multiple clips off the top of my head where he was talking about guys, giving them the same hard truths that he would give girls. Because at the end of the day, he's an image consultant. So if you pay for a service, he's gonna, if you're overweight, 200 pounds and stuff like that, he's gonna tell you you're not high value. You need to get your standards in check. Like there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't see how you're, letting the girls off the hook that pay for his service, because they're self-conscious about themselves. They paid for his service and he gave them the service. And the guy, and it's sad that that was the thing that went viral the most. But, when it's nothing but girls just calling to try to debate him, to, try to get a point across, or, trying to make him look bad and stuff like that. Of course, that's what's going to go more viral, is because one is actually seeking help and the other is trying to fight him and go against him and stuff like that.
I understand what you're saying, but again, if I'm not, no one's off the hook. No one is off the hook. Not just from a subjective standpoint. Objectively, no one is off the hook. We live in a capitalistic society. It is extremely difficult. With the economy, socioeconomics, all of these things, no one's off the hook. But the problem that I have is the way that is going to permeate into the culture and the message, the overarching message that is going to push to the masses, which is that Black women, you're not good enough. Black women, you need to do better. Even though historically we know that that's what Black women have been doing. That Black women have literally transcended their plight to the extent that it's 2 or 3 to 1 when it comes to Black men getting educated and Black women getting educated. So while I can understand Black women need to be accountable for their choices in life, their health choices, whatever they're eating. I understand that, but that's a separate issue because, again, the message is not about, well, you're too big. He also talked about Black women as a collective. He also talked about the Black community and Black men as a collective. And the message was the same. The message is that Black women want too much. He even went in on their looks. He even said, out of his mouth that the white beauties of standard are the only beauties of standard, and black women will never live up to them, and therefore will not be good enough. So again, what message would that have on the black community? What do you think that's going to make not just black men think, but black women think? You think that that's a positive thing for the black community?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just can't take surface level you just saying that out of the blue as the fact of him saying that. If he did say that, then that's a whole nother thing. But I just can't, take that. I have to take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, well, he said that. That's fine. So no, I think that he was good for the black community.
Oh, that was your answer?
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna agree. I wouldn't say that he wasn't good for the black community. Kevin Samuels just provided entertainment for the simple fact that I don't think maybe he had the black community in his best interest, for the simple fact that he did die while fucking a Latina. So
Oh my God.
I think that it was an opportunist thing for Kevin Samuels to basically kind of use black women to catapult his fame. And it worked because simply and clearly he liked Latinas. I just wanted to chime in on that.
So that's my problem. Again, that black men have been using black women to sort of get where they need to go, do what they need to do, and then discard them. And then the perception that they give out to the the overall society is that black women are shit and should be discarded and should be pumped and dumped. So again, you see the same thing with Fresh and Fit. You see the same thing with these black content creators in these spaces, and it's the same thing. It's the same message. And if you think that is good for the black family, or like that somehow is going to help how fractured it is, you think it's going to somehow help black women's and black men's self-esteem, or somehow bring them together, then yeah, again, I would have to say that's
why do black women get so like bent over? There was this guy, he was doing this experiment where he was trying to date 50 women in 50 states, right? And out of all the 50 women in the 50 states, none of them were black. And there was a big thread on Twitter where black women were really pissed about it, that he never dated one dark-skinned woman. So like, you say it just being, black men and stuff like that, but I feel like it's an insecurity. I feel like we all have an insecurity, black men, black women, but especially with black women, I feel like black women have an insecurity between all races, where it's just like a feeling of not feeling good enough, where it's not just black men not satisfying them for them, but it's also other races. So why is it like whenever a white guy says, "Oh, I don't like dating black girls," black girls feel so offended and get so uptight about it?
Sorry, you said that white men saying that they don't want to date black women are getting offended?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because out of all races, black women are the least like one of the least likely to date out anyway. So I that to me is an anomaly. I don't understand that. Personally, I think that black women have historically always been race loyal, and that's kind of why they're in the position that they're in today. So I don't really I understand that you see that that's your experience. I don't see that. Even in spaces and in academia, workspace, I don't see that. I overwhelmingly see black women wanting to date black men, to the extent that they're going to date black men that are not socioeconomically on their level, or academically and educationally on their level. So yeah, they kind of push everything to the side just so that they can be with someone that looks like them, and so that they can have a sense of self and preservation. That's what I see, and that's what the numbers also reflect.
And can I ask you a question?
I think black love is the best love on the earth. I think a black man should find himself a black queen and stuff like that. But I feel like, you coming in here, getting on to low tier God, I feel like that doesn't help anything. Like, if he doesn't like black girls, it is what it is. There's enough brothers out there that love melanin, like, I feel like black women think that
what does
black
enough
guys,
mean?
What do you mean enough? Like, there's a lot of, like, I feel like the majority of black guys,
because there's more black women who, because like she said, black men are dating out, and there's more black women than there are black men, like who want to date like hypergamously.
Out of all my homeboys that are black, I know all of them like to date black girls. So
the problem with that is, if you look at just raw numbers, there's not enough eligible black men for every eligible black woman. If you just look at the numbers, right? Just raw numbers, raw data. So you add to that, and by adding to this, compound the problem in the incarceration rates. You add to that, other intersectional challenges. So what you're left with is a very, very tiny pool for Black women who are looking to create stable environments and families. They have a very small pool to choose from. And this is why dating interracially can be problematic.
But the main reason why me and you were talking on this, what do we call this? A show, a podcast? The main reason why we're talking right now is because we have white people in our lineage.
What is your point?
What do you mean? Did that go over your head?
No, what's your point?
I mean, you're talking about dating in the Black community, this and that, but that's not how we got here. We got here through race mixing, quote unquote. That's how we got here in the first fucking place.
Right,
that's why your skin is light. That's why your features are red.
We're here now, right? We're here now. We have autonomy and agency, and we make our own choices, right? Now, in 2022.
And, speaking of powerful Black women, why did Serena Williams diss Drake and skip over Common to marry a white guy?
Sorry?
I said, why did Serena Williams, since we're speaking on powerful Black women, why did she diss Drake because he wasn't, why did she diss Drake? Why did she say fuck Common and marry a white guy and have a mixed kid? I mean, I feel like Black women practice this shit too. Actually, Black women get congratulated when they get themselves a white guy. Black men, we get frowned upon.
Wow.
You guys are rewarded.
I actually don't think that. Yeah, I think that because Black men have historically been doing it so much more than Black women. I don't think that. Don't use me as the representative. I think that Black women, the only time that we have an issue with Black men marrying outside the race is when Black men like you come and say the reason that they're doing it is because Black women are bequishas and ghetto and all of the other homonyms that you just brought up. I think that's the only issue that Black women have.
That's not the reason why. That's not the reason why I started to.
It is the reason why. It is the reason why.
So you're telling me the reason why I decide to date women of a different ethnicity?
No, I'm telling you the reason that Black women have a problem when Black men date out is because it's never really about just dating out for them. It's about dating out because Black women were either too much of something or not enough of something, and that's simply not true. If it was true, you would have better outcomes with other races, and you don't. So that's not true, and that's why Black women have a problem with interracial dating when it comes to Black men. When Black men interracially date and they are gone and they do their thing and they keep their mouth shut and they're happy, nobody really cares. Actually,
what I'm doing when I actually create multicultural children, what I'm doing is I'm instilling culture. So if I date a Latina, right? I'm giving my kids language. I'm giving my kids culture. What is Black culture? Hip hop, jewelry. Why don't you tell me what Black culture is? Tell me what Black culture is in America. Let's see what that is. Was it fried chicken? Why don't you tell me?
Yeah, no, this is a waste of time.
It's not. You're not answering the question. If I race mix, right? If I step outside of my quote unquote ethnicity.
LTG, man, you gotta chill, bro. You gotta chill.
Hold on, no, he's not even.
Like,
he's not trolling. Let him ask the question.
I'm just saying. So let's just say I marry a Black woman. Fuck the marriage thing. It's a contract. Let's just say if I have children with a Black woman tomorrow, what type of culture am I giving my kid?
Sorry?
What type of culture am I instilling in my Black kid if I have a 100% Black child with a Black woman? What type of culture am I instilling?
Whatever culture you want to instill.
But that doesn't make sense because what is Black culture? Now, if I have
makes sense because you're a man, right? So you get to decide what's
acceptable. But the point is there's almost like no beneficial. I mean, unless we're going for athletic specimens, there's almost no beneficial for me to, quote unquote, date a Bonquisha, unless I'm just trying to create NBA athletes. Because if I do that, I'm trying to create a household that's going to have tension because Black men and Black women, we have tension, whether you like it or not. There's tension there. On top of that, my big thing is culture. When Abba asked me, what am I couldn't even tell him. But see, the good thing is I can actually, if I have a kid that's biracial, I could actually give them a piece of something to claim. They could be like, oh, my mom's Hispanic, blah, blah, blah. I heard people come from this and that. And yet, my dad's Black. So at least he has something or she has something to describe herself.
LTG, it's sad that you don't think as a Black man who also is not a victim, that you don't have any agency, that you don't have any influence on the culture that your children subscribe to and are raised up in.
What culture? What is Black culture?
One second. You can't have it both ways. You can't say I'm not a victim and then say, oh, well, there's no culture and there's nothing I can do about it. So I have to be with another race who has a culture, and I have to superimpose myself into that culture because there's nothing. You can't have it both ways. If you think that there's a problem with the culture, you are in a position to influence the masses and to do something about it so that you can actually have children and say, yeah, there is a culture and it is not degenerate.
So
MTG, you do have a culture.
Hold
though.
up. Can you
New
guys
age
just
black.
engage with the original question, which is what is black culture? What is it in the American context? What is black American culture? Help them define it.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Black American culture, what is it?
He's
Yes.
New age black. That's what it is.
Black American culture is it's the food, it's the music.
Wait, hold on. What type of food? Are we talking gumbo?
I'm not saying a specific meal. I'm not going to say like spaghetti. I'm saying that food and the food that we eat is a part of your culture.
It's a little general though. Do you have any more can you give some specific examples of like these foods, these types of music?
Can I just say soul food? Or what, I mean, is there a reason?
Cauliflower, spinach,
okra,
pork chops, okra. Yeah. Some chitlins.
Did nobody else say oxtail besides me?
Oxtail is not even Black American culture. That's like
fried chicken,
Caribbeans.
Yeah.
Soul food.
Oh, Caribbeans are black.
Okay,
interesting.
Okay.
No,
I don't know why we're not going with the obvious ones here.
I think none of us have the fucking answer. I mean, now if we talk about Jamaicans, now when I say blacks, I'm talking about American blacks. I'm not talking about blacks on a broad spectrum globally. I'm talking about American blacks. So when we ask you this question, what is Black American culture? All you've said so far is gumbo.
Gumbo's based.
Okay, Jesus, hold on. Can I volunteer an answer here? I don't know why.
Because you won't answer
Anna, hold on. Anna, is there such thing as Black culture to you?
No, this conversation it's not serious. So I'm just
a serious conversation. Hold on. There's like 11,000, 12,000 people that want to hear if you know what Black culture is. Or what does Black culture mean to you? I'm curious.
I don't have to prove anything to you.
No one is asking you to prove anything. It's just a question. Does Black culture
and to the extent that this is the type of time that these Black men are going to be on, and now I can see that, and I've seen it play out. I've seen it all day, as a matter of fact. But
and answer the question because
Anna,
Black culture doesn't really
Black people in America, we're
exist.
lost, Anna.
Let's appreciate. No. Low tier God's being told to preserve the culture, to enrich the culture, to make it better through his own having.
Yeah, and she has no
a black woman. It's a valid question. So he's asking you, what is this black culture that you want me to fight to preserve? And he's asking you to identify. And you're saying
I answered the question, and you don't like it. I said
no.
I said to create your culture. That's what I said. I said
so
you're the man.
What?
Nobody creates. Hold on. Nobody creates a culture. That's not true. We're born into cultures, right? Nobody can single-handedly create a culture.
Right, just like nobody can single-handedly create one, it's going to take more than one person to change one, right?
Why would you want to change a culture that doesn't even exist? And you're telling people to just create it. There is a culture. What is it? Tell us. What is the culture then?
What I'm saying to you, when I say that you create the culture, I'm saying that you as a man, you have a part to play in the culture. That's what I'm trying to say.
So there is no black culture right now that you want to preserve. There is no black culture.
No.
Oh. Then why do you care? Wait. If there's no black culture then, and that's all gone, then who the fuck cares if he marries outside of his race? There's nothing to preserve. Who cares at that point?
Because again, culture can be changed.
There's nothing to change. You said there's no culture. There's nothing to change. It's gone.
There is a culture, but it's a degenerate culture. So why am I gonna? Why is that the culture that I'm going? No, there is a degenerate culture. It is self-destructive. It is extreme, and it's extremely exploitative and lucrative.
What makes it degenerate, though?
Wait, hold on. No. Wait. I'm gonna play the ABBA game from yesterday. Can you name 3 positive aspects of black culture?
No, I'm not playing that game.
It's a tree game, yeah.
Play that game with somebody else.
Okay, I want to appreciate something. So you're saying it's a degenerate culture. Now you want him to marry a black woman who's from that degenerate culture that you named degenerate, and then afterwards you want him to father children who are black, who are going to be ascribed to that, and you want him to be part of some kind of collective movement to change that thing that everyone that you agree is degenerate.
Right, that's not really how it works. When I'm talking about him having the capacity to change the culture, what I'm saying is, he's in a position of influence. So from that position alone, he has an ability to change. I'm not saying that he's going to revitalize it overnight. Obviously, it's going to take a very long time. But what I'm saying is, him dating out is not going to help the situation and the current state of the Black community at all. It's not going to help the current state of the culture at all. That's what I'm saying. Oh, the only thing that dating out does to the culture is reaffirm that Black women should not be married and dated, when in reality, statistically speaking, that is not even true.
Okay, but Anna, can I ask you a question? Because like on the one hand, you don't like that Black men are not marrying Black women, but then you've also said that Black women who are marrying Black men are marrying low-value degenerate men, and you've also said that Black women and men need to be more race loyal. So what do you think Black women should do?
And I said that Black women are doing it to their own detriment. My perspective.
So what?
Is,
No. I'm asking you, what do you think Black women should do?
Black men need to be.
No, but I'm asking you what you think Black women should do. We're not talking about Black men. I'm asking you what you think Black women should do.
Black women. I said that they should continue doing what they're doing. They should find
what are
men.
They doing?
They should find men who have more commonalities with them. They should find men who are more aligned with them academically and educationally and socioeconomically.
Can those be non-Black men?
All of those things.
But you said you wanted Black women to be more race loyal. But you're also saying that Black men.
All of those things are a part of culture as well.
Okay, but there's an issue with that. Earlier, you said that there's less Black men than Black women. We all agreed. And that now with the current college dynamics and how things are changing rapidly, that, Black women are completely outpacing men in terms of college education, and they're pretty much outpacing them soon in terms of income. That's not going to be possible for them to date their equals or their superiors. So they're going to have to eventually start dating broker men or men who make substantially less than them. Because one, there's less men, and two, the amount of men who are educated and who have the education that you're describing don't exist, or there's not enough of them to go around. So what are you saying to them now?
Sorry, to Black men?
What are you saying to Black women? Because your advice doesn't work because there's not enough Black men to go around.
No, it does. I said to find men that are more aligned with your values, to find men who are more aligned with your education and your.
Right.
Your
those be Black men or white men?
So those are non-Black men, though, right?
Right.
Okay, so you want them to date out?
In some cases, yeah, it would be.
Okay, so you want them to date out and marry outside?
No. You have to
ideally, I think no, right, Anna?
You have to understand cause and effect. It's not that I'm saying, hey, that's the effect of Black men not actually doing what they should be doing. It's the cause is Black men. There are not enough good Black men to actually marry good Black women, and as a result, the effect is they don't have a choice. But
no one is saying that's ideal, but that was basically the same answer earlier that Low Tier God gave. Like, I'm sure, or he can answer if he wants, but if the Black woman that he'd met, or if he felt Black women in general were a different kind of way, he probably wouldn't mind being in relationships with them. But he's giving the same answer you give, that he didn't have a choice, essentially.
No, when I say that Black women don't have a choice, it's not because the fact that you're even comparing what he said to the situation that Black women are facing is insulting and disrespectful. Black women are simply looking to date and marry hypergamously so that they can help the Black community and structure the Black family. Yeah. I'm not talking about. There's a difference between Black men marrying white women and putting their resources in their communities and in their homes, and Black women marrying white men and putting their resources still into the Black community.
Okay, so when they marry interracially, Black women will put the money back in the Black community, but when Black men do it, it's like they're leaving forever.
Can I?
Yes, that's exactly what happens.
So the discrepancy here seems to sound like, and you said this a little bit before, Anna, is that Black men set the tone for like Black women's desirability.
Right.
And so when they are disregarding you, then you cannot date hypergamously because the culture is that Black women are not something to be valued even for white men.
Right. Well, that is absolutely a part of the culture. That's absolutely a part of the message that Right.
So then your passion and vigor makes sense when you're like, okay, if I'm trying to date hypergamously, unfortunately, it's up to Black men to even say if I'm desirable enough. So can you please at least like not protect me from like Eurocentric beauty standards, but can you at least value me so that other men can look at me and value me, because that's how men. That's what the sexual marketplace looks like.
Well, no. So I wouldn't say all of that, but the ultimate goal would, yes, obviously be for Black men to, of course, love Black women, to uphold Black women's beauty and strength. But they can't do that because they're having a problem doing it with themselves. So I'm trying to get there first, and then everything else can happen, including sort of revitalizing culture and community.
Do you have like earlier you said that when black women date interracially, all of a sudden their money stays in the community. When black men do it, do you have like a source for that? Do you have any kind of proof that when black women date interracially, they're keeping their money, or is that just like your perception?
No, you have to look at Pew Research and the Brookings Institute. You kind of have to do your homework. I probably sent it to Stephen a while back.
There's a study that says that black women's interracial money stays in the community.
No, that when black women date interracially, their interests remain with the black community and black interests, and white men support that.
I mean, that's if they're in a position of power.
Well,
but usually that only benefits black women, not black men.
Anything that benefits black women benefits black men.
Not necessarily.
No,
if they're raising kids.
Do you think having black children is extremely important?
No, I think that having healthy children is extremely and happy children.
No, but for the black community to change the culture, you said they had to have black kids.
I never said that.
Huh? You literally told Lotier God he had to stay in the culture and marry a black woman to be able to change the culture. And by marrying out and assuming another culture, that's not what he's doing.
Yeah, that's what she said.
That is what you said.
Okay, hold on. What I'm saying is him marrying out perpetuates a negative stereotype that's already permeated in the culture. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if he really had any vested interest in himself as a black man and in the community and with black women, it would behoove him not to do that.
Right.
And you
right.
also said that these black men are truly valued to marry black women.
To the extent that he does, that also changes the culture.
Right, exactly. And I'm saying when black women do it too, it has that effect. Do you agree or disagree?
When black women date out, they change the culture?
Absolutely. Well, they're not having black kids, and so basically
the difference is that black men are getting black women pregnant. They're just not marrying them.
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the idea of someone choosing. Hold on. We're talking about the idea that someone chooses a partner outside. In your opinion, you were saying that basically it changes the culture because they're having babies with these other women and they're not creating black babies, and so they can't change the culture. That's what you said earlier. And so I'm wondering, why is that not the case for black women? I don't understand that. With black women out here having kids, other kids, like I don't understand how those kids are somehow helping and changing black culture. They're not. No?
So because again, you have to look at the reasons that black women are dating out versus black men. Black women are not dating out because they're having any identity crisis or because of self-hatred.
I'm not talking about the reason. I'm talking about the effect.
Right, but the reason contributes to the effect.
So are you saying there's a different effect when black women have biracial kids? There's a different effect.
Let me finish. If you have two people, you have a black man and you have a black woman, and they interracially date out. The reason that the man is dating out is because black women ain't shit. Black women are ghetto. Black women are ratchet. Black women are only good for pumping and dumping, and so on and so forth. And you have a black woman who says, I can't find black men who are matching me socioeconomically and academically, and I'm trying to mobilize economically. It's kind of a problem. It's probably more advantageous for me to date someone who's more aligned with my values, my ambition, and my status and where I am in life. Those are two major differences. So you have to think about the effect that's going to have on the offspring. On the one hand, you have someone with a very strong sense of self and blackness, someone who takes pride in their blackness. And you have someone else who says, well, I come from a black woman, but yeah, I don't date them because they're ghetto, they're LaQuisha, they're ratchet. So what do you think kids are going to see, and what culture in the home is going to be permeated
I think
those kids' minds?
I think it doesn't really matter because earlier when we spoke,
Studies don't bear that out. There are actually
let him finish. Let him
there
finish.
are studies.
Well, let him finish.
Hold up. I don't think it really matters because earlier when we had the conversation, you said that biracial people are not black. Mixed people are not black. So that's one. Two, there are enough studies that showcase that the fact that, biracial people or mixed people start marrying other mixed race people far often than they do black folks or white folks in particular. So they're far more likely to have other offsprings who are going to be an other offshoot of some different set of cultures. So by generational gaps, you're going to start having kids who are less tied to the black identity and black community per every generation.
True, Abba?
Huh?
And there's a study, and I'll link it. I'll send it. But you know why that's not true? Because
wait, which part's not true?
The part where you said it doesn't have an impact on the the biracial children, and it's not going to negatively contribute to the culture. Is that what you said?
No, what I said was once you have these offsprings, what ends up happening is that these kids end up marrying other mixed people or people who are not black. And so what ends up happening is that through generations, their ties to the black community lessen every time. That's just a fact. That's not my opinion. I could literally pull up those numbers for you.
Right. Okay. So here's the problem with that. Again, biracial children who come from a white mother and a black father are far more likely to marry and date white. Also, biracial people who come from a black man and a white woman are far more likely to be raised in a home without their fathers. This is just a reality. So you have to add to that what that is going to do to the biracial child's identity, their pride and understanding and their blackness and that dichotomy. You have to understand what that's going to do to their sense of self and their understanding of their self. So yeah, it makes sense that they would go and they would be with white people because they would identify, because they don't have a point of reference, because their black father didn't give them a point of reference and didn't instill in them a sense of self and pride in their blackness. You don't see that with black women. Black women are still instilling a sense of blackness and pride in their, even if they're biracial. So you don't, and then there are literally psychological studies that talk about the outcomes of biracial children from black women and white men and white women and black men. That this is psychology. The way that you socialize and raise your children and how you feel about yourself, shocker, that matters. If you foster in a child that you don't have positive imagery and sentiments, you don't have any pride in black people as a collective or black women, what do you think it's going to do to that child who is also black? Half black, sorry. What do you think it's going to do?
Man, get this to 7K like if you believe in black love.
What do you think it's going to do? What do you think it's going to do to a grown-up?
And I'm going to be honest with you. I do not believe a single word that you said about the fact that black women somehow foster environments and where these kids come out and all of a sudden they identify with their blackness tremendously more to the point where it has effect. I think I'm going to finish my point. I just want to finish my point, so I'll let you speak. I personally think this is a big, huge cope to allow black women to make these decisions, and that's where I stand on that.
Right, but it's not about allowing black women, again, cause and effect. It's not about allowing black women to make these decisions. Black women are making these decisions because they don't have a choice. Again, black men they're already they're forced to choose from a very tiny pool of black men. That very tiny pool of black men, you're dealing with incarceration, you're dealing with poverty, you're also dealing with that tiny group. They're also dating white women and marrying white women. So they don't have these men to choose from. It's not about, I'm making this choice because, no. It's about, again, everything in with respect to black women historically is a result of cause and effect. They're superimposed into these positions, and they just kind of have to do what they have to do if they want the best for themselves and their children. And unfortunately, black women have wanted to be race loyal. They've wanted to have black children, and they've wanted to have black families. And unfortunately, black men have not been on the same page with them. And as a result, the collapse and fracture of the black family exists as we see it today.
Can I throw something in?
Do you date black girls, Alba?
Absolutely.
All right, can I throw something in? I think there's not enough. Now I'm gonna say this without trying to sound 100% offensive because I'm not, but there's not enough sexiness in the black community for black men. We need sexy. There's not enough sexy in the black community for black men.
Well, you can't tell me Megan Thee Stallion's
black women aren't sexy.
I mean,
what you're saying.
it's at a small percentage. Like if I go to Target right now, I'll see like so many different Latinas and Beckies that got on their nice sweaters.
This is weird. What the fuck? This is so weird. This is the big problem is that obviously low tier God, you for some reason you're like really like you even talked about like diluting your black genes, which was like very strange. Like you wanted that. I think that it's also weird to have like pride in anyone's race, right? That gets into like strange territory. But I think that the biggest disconnect here is that like obviously Anna like really wants to not preserve but like create like this black unity. like Black unity, which like makes sense to some extent, right? To like have pride in your race, especially if you've been through a lot, right? It makes sense. But also, no one's brought up how strange low tier God is. No one's brought up how fucking weird he's been about this whole like diluting his race shit. But also, shouldn't we all be biracial? I think everyone should be biracial.
Weird for it. You're saying low tier God's weird for it, but he literally has the same. He has the same stance about his mixed race as she does about her blackness.
Yeah, and I think it's weird. I just said it was weird.
Yo,
okay.
If he's a white dude, like I actually like low tier God, and I would defend 80% of his points. But if a white dude was saying this shit, they'd be fucking
weird.
That's the thing.
I think. Wait, can I say something real quick? Hold on. I think as white people, we don't have. This is so fucking cringe. I think as white people, we don't think about things like preservation of race or preservation of community anymore because our communities don't face pressure externally to be a certain way or act a certain way. And when our people go and come from other places, it doesn't have the same effects internally on our community. I agree in like the macro, and I've made arguments in the past, and I'll make arguments in the future that people that talk about only dating a certain race are pretty cringe. I fought with Fanatic about it before, but I think you have to say more than just it's weird. When it's happening in such disproportionate rate in some communities than it is in others.
I mean, that's not entirely true. There's plenty of people, even from the Jewish community, who only want to marry people from a Jewish heritage. There's a tremendous amount of pressure from a lot
of... That's fucked up, and that's messed up. Yeah,
well, I mean, you could say that's weird, that's messed up, but those communities don't think though. And I think if you go almost anywhere out in the world outside of our North American bubble, there's plenty of people who want to preserve their culture or their racial heritage. It's not
also,
as normal.
You fought these people for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said it, but I'm saying that when you want to criticize it, it has to be more than just the announcement of like it's weird. So, like for instance, the criticism that I would give Anna here is you're essentially asking for martyrdom here from low tier God. You're telling him, I know you've had bad experiences. I know that you might be attracted to a certain thing, but I don't care about that. I think you need to make a sacrifice for the sake of yours and our blackness in order to like preserve the community.
So my happiness too.
And happiness in everything. Oh, did she leave? Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, she left.
Okay.
Also,
because you have to. It's weird. It's weird because one aspect
of different heritages, like even when I go to Italy, there's plenty of them that just want to marry another Italian. People want to preserve either cultural heritage or stuff like that. It just so happens that white people don't identify with their whiteness primarily; they do with their culture. So if I go to somewhere like fucking Nigeria, they don't want you to marry a Ghanaian; they want you to marry a Nigerian. But for Black Americans, it's a bit different. For Jews, it's not based off of like, do you look kind of beige or whatever? It's like, are you Jewish? Right? We want to make sure it's the cultural thing or the religious factor. So this idea of preserving some form of heritage is not weird. It's not unique.
It's
actually extremely
common.
It just so happens that what makes it unique for Black Americans is that Black Americans are the only ones who really identify with each other purely based off of skin color. Whereas most Africans do it based off of...
but then there's also people like low tier God who say that, who say the opposite of that, and then also say, and Black women aren't sexy enough, like publicly.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay.
No, that is what you said, and then you've been saying like I don't like dark skins, and it is fucking weird. Yes, you said you don't want someone who looks like your mom and your sister, and you don't want the ratchet ghetto bunquisha. That is what you said, and it's racist and misogynistic.
But here's the thing. So, and Alyssa was saying something like, "There's not enough educated Black figures around." Well, what if I flipped it and said, "There's not enough Black women to take care of their bodies in the gym"? You know, I hit the gym 6 days a week. Most of the women that are in there are not Black. There's about maybe 1% of Black women in the gym daily. Everybody else killing it. So maybe Black men,
and that's a separate issue.
Hold on.
Wait, to low tier God's point, this is a really edgy comment that a friend made to me in DMs, but she asked me, when they do those studies about preferences of races on dating apps, she asked me a really insightful question. She was like, do they control for weight? And that was an interesting question because Black women do rate really low on a lot of those dating apps. I'm on Tinder in Miami. There's a lot of big Black women on Tinder. And I wonder if that might play into it a little bit. Not to say that there isn't also like a general undesirability, but it's something to think about.
I mean, that's the thing. I feel like the reason why Black men usually will date outside of their ethnicity is because we're looking for something that's a little bit different. I mean, we've dealt with this style of women 24/7. Don't get me wrong. When you see a Black woman that really has her shit together physically, it's like, wow, like, goddamn, like, but it's rare that we see that.
We also know that obesity is caused by things like poverty. And so
if
you're
but we're not going to date somebody because
it's
they're
like the
suffering
chicken
from
or the
obesity and
egg.
poverty.
Sure, but then then it becomes a chicken or the egg thing, and then it's like, how do you? And she's saying the prescription to come out of poverty is to interracially date, date within your own race. But then you can't get there because you're too fat because you're poor, and it's like a whole.
It's talking about.
Thing.
Yeah, but he's speaking on himself on an individual basis. When he's going to pick out a partner, he's not thinking like, "Oh, she's fat, but it's because she's poor." So like, how do we get around?
Individually,
like,
but
I just want to find someone I
publicly.
find attractive.
Well, sure, but he's saying that individually for himself, but publicly saying that like black women are often ghetto.
Yeah, because
which
it's
is
a trend that he personally sees.
Well, and more importantly, because he's getting attacked on his dating.
True.
I mean, there's a more percentage.
It's not just this. It's the fact that like throughout like this entire night, he's been saying really fucking sketchy shit, right? So he's like, black women aren't sexy. Like, I only date mixed and above. It's written in the stars that like this was meant to happen. Like, I believe in the multiverse, and like black people just happen to be in the bottom now, and like there's nothing we can do about it except like, you know, like, I guess personal responsibility. Like, you've been saying sketchy shit all this fucking night.
Anna,
like,
because I'm black.
Separatist shit. Anna said sketchy separatist shit, but you're
that
like on the opposite
thing,
end.
That shit's fire. I'm not gonna lie. I never heard that before, and low key makes me bummed out that we in this one because I want to be in the other ones, kind of low key. But.
Yo, can I back this up though?
It's meant where like black people are meant to be how it is like right now because of like the fucking Vikings or whatever you fucking referenced earlier. That shit is so fucking sketchy.
Okay,
You're like,
can I address that because I sat my white ass down and listened for like a fucking hour. Okay, can I please, for the love of God, address that because I literally took notes on it. So LTG, like fucking the reason why. So I agree with you largely that like technology and culture and like people's habits and all that kind of stuff, the environment has like a huge play on that. But the truth is that there's this idea called geographic determinism, and it's not 100% of what goes on. So when you're talking about like, you know, Vikings were explorers and shit, the reason why they were explorers on boats is because the fucking northern part of Europe is a frigid fucking wasteland with not that much goddamn resource. So they had to go other places in order to find resources. And when you're surrounded by frigid wasteland, you had the fastest way to get someplace else is boats. Then also there were like black explorers that were on boats, but because of the way that winds work in the fucking Atlantic, basically they could get to the Americas, but they couldn't get back. As a matter of fact, there's like statues that people believe are West Africans who sailed to South America, but then died in South America because they couldn't get back. So like the thing is like the human beings, they all share these like curiosity and intelligence and strength and virtue and vice and weaknesses and all this kind of shit, but like how that's expressed is often within the environment that you're in. And a lot of what I'm hearing is like people want to optimize the environment that black folks are in because they feel like they're held down by the environment.
Yeah. Can I just say I actually was like pulling up the reports that I think she's citing from the Brookings Institute, and I read through them, and the report was saying that there's a lower socioeconomic mobility or like chance for mobility for black women because they're marrying intraracially. They're marrying other black men. And due to the fact that black men have lower incomes than black women now, their socioeconomic mobility is reduced. Yes. But the Chetty paper that it like this one study that I was pulling up linked said that the reason for the issues that black men face isn't because of like lack of accountability. It's because of like structural factors that were impacting black men. Like there was another Brookings report that was a follow-up to it that talked about how like the culture and like we need to create a culture of care for black boys so we can remove these impediments. Like it had a lot more to do with proximity to like not just proximity, but like neighborhoods and socioeconomic factors and like just money overall. And that's not even to like speak to the fact that I kept asking her like, what do you want black women to do? Because she was simultaneously demanding that black women remain like race loyal to black men.
She's a separatist at heart, like, but not because she like doesn't like white people, not because she doesn't like white people, but because she really does like believe in like a strong culture, and it makes sense that you would believe in that, especially if you're like if so many black women are raising black children. It makes sense that you want your black children to have like this culture, this community that you dream of that you've never had because it was taken from you because you were put on slave ships and you don't know what your culture
Can we just appreciate?
It makes sense.
Can we just appreciate she couldn't even name what that culture was? She just said it was a degenerate culture that she wanted us to preserve.
That was probably honestly.
What did she say? She said that was
wait. Yeah, I'll give Fanatic credit for this. When he talks about he only wants to date other black women. I have never in my life talked to somebody that said they only want to date in race that couldn't talk about the culture they're trying to preserve. That
was so crazy.
Usually those type of people are the quickest to offer up some like historical shit about the accomplishments of their people. That was really strange.
She was being really evasive. I think she did want she knows what answers she could reach for, but she said stuff like spaghetti. I mean, if I'm being super charitable, it's because she's from Canada and we were asking her about Black American culture specifically.
Well, but I'm pretty sure
man.
I could be wrong, but isn't Drake Canadian? There's a lot of crossover in their culture, isn't there? Like,
I mean, the fact that she was on empty ears and mute mouth when we asked her what American black culture is, I think she got it misconstrued when I was talking about what, the broad spectrum. The broad spectrum is that there is no black American culture. But if we skip over to, the Caribbeans and to Haiti and, just to name a few, that there's culture there. But as far as black American culture, as a black man, I refuse to accept hip hop and a form of food as my culture. Gumbo is not my culture. Hip hop is not my culture. Bling is not my culture. Ferraris is not my culture. I refuse to accept that.
I mean, you can refuse it. You can refuse it, but I think there's something to be said about the fact that that is part of Black American culture. So whether you accept it or not is irrelevant. You can choose to identify with your Caribbean culture if you want. But if you were to ask most people what they think of when they think of Black American culture, it'll go from everything from slang to ebonics to hip hop to soul food to just different things that they've influenced language-wise and cuisine-wise. So there's a lot there depending on which part of the states you're from as well, because Black influence in different parts has definitely influenced things differently. And so that's all things that you have to consider. But the fact that she couldn't name that, and then when she did, she just said it's degenerate culture. And then at the same time, you're supposed to bring up a black child and change it through that. I thought that was incredibly crazy.
Do you think that just puts the onus on black people to figure out what their culture is? And since we are dealt a bad hand, we're gonna have to work harder than other nations, and we're gonna have to figure out okay, I gotta go do the ancestry meet.
Well, hold on. I am,
and
100% up to us.
I'm not gonna lie. Wait. That's really bad because you guys are a bunch of white people in here, fucking asking her, yo, what the fuck are you? And even you guys were stunned that she couldn't say anything. So I feel like all black people in here that have the ability.
All right, I want in after Destiny.
You should try to invest in that because we can't be put in positions like that.
I don't like the answer of saying hip hop, bling and slang. That's a really derogatory way of referring to things. But Black culture, despite the history of the black person in the United States, is literally the loudest and most pervasive culture across the entire fucking world. Jazz and hip hop are the United States of America's most unique and important contributions to the entire fucking field of music. I don't think it's fair to just write it off and say, oh, it's hip hop, when it is the dominant fucking form of music across the entire of the world, right? And even when you say things like slang and bling or whatever, the manner of speaking, black stand-up comedians are some of the funniest in the world. The way that black people talk has got white kids talking like it on fucking TikTok. Black fashion is worn by white people and people of culture all across the world. I think it's a little bit derisive to just slang and bling and hip hop or whatever. These are some music and food and fashion. When you read
everything you said is all in the last 400 years. Besides the 400 years, we cannot tell you anything about us.
Sure, that might be fair, but I'm saying that. But when you're talking about African American culture, that is the last 200 or 300 years, right?
But she would.
And when you talk about, and then also to be clear, hold on. When you talk about when people say white culture, they're not talking about Gregorian fucking chant. They're talking about Beethoven and Chopin, and these are composers from the 19th and the 20th century. Tchaikovsky didn't write music in 1495. No one motherfuckers talking about the Middle Ages when they're talking about white culture,
white
right?
People know oh, I'm Irish. Oh, I'm Scottish.
Exactly.
Yo, no. I fundamentally
I just want to understand, Gideon.
God
Gideon,
damn.
are you trying to say? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, bro. It's just I sat my white ass down and listened. So but I'm normally a debate bro. So I want to fucking throw elbows and shit. So no, but you could figure this shit out if you fucking wanted to. So for instance, no offense, but Abba, are you fucking from East Africa or North Africa or some shit?
Ethiopia.
Yep. So fucking East Africa, you can figure that shit out. And then same thing with like West Africa. West Africa has its own fucking culture, like fucking yams and the Bantu migration and the Khoisan of the grasslands, and like LTG said, the Benin people and the slave trade and all
Connor,
that kind of stuff.
Black?
No, but this is shit that I studied because I'm a fucking history nerd, and all of this shit, like you could know for a fact, like you wouldn't know for a fact whether or not your ancestors were sold on a slave ship in fucking Benin, or whether or not you were sold from a different fucking market. But basically what you understand is that like there were warring tribes and kingdoms that like fell to other kingdoms in Africa, and as a result your parents ended up where they fucking ended up. That's still a cool and interesting and fucked up culture that you survived all of the fucked up shit that's happened over the past 1,000 years. So just saying that like, oh, we can't know, it's in fucking Narnia, we can't understand West African history, it's bullshit.
I think it's a bit different though, because if you can't pinpoint it to one country, then you're just kind of pinpoint to a general area, which is not the same. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like an Ethiopian feels distinctly different than a Somalian. A Somalian feels distinctly different than a Kenyan. And these things, like you're talking about night and day between these groups of people. So from someone outside who wants to trace back a lineage or maybe understand like facial features or whatever that stuff, like it might be very difficult to just be like some part of Africa, you know? Well, so I can understand the frustration there when people say they have a hard time tying their stuff.
I'll be a little bit of a dick and I'll boil this down. You're all West African. You probably all spoke fucking Bantu. Okay. So that's fucking like that. The history of West Africa is actually pretty developed from the Ivory Coast to South Africa. A lot of those people share similar narratives.
You should teach them the language.
Yeah, it's still not the same. But I get what you're trying to say. But if anyone was to go back today, they wouldn't feel like they could easily identify with any of those countries. So I think I understand what Gideon's saying in regards to the lack of history there from a long time.
Sure. And
can I just say something with the culture?
Yes.
The culture thing. We'll wrap it up, Connor, and then I'll go.
Oh yeah. So, I just want to go to bed at some point because I'm a wage cagey. So I wanted to Steelman the blueprint real quick. So I felt like what she was trying to say, or what she would have said if she hadn't been caught flat-footed, is that like black men have to revitalize the culture. I've heard her say multiple times that black men, if they're supposed to be leaders and creators and they're supposed to be the guides of American black culture, then they have failed, because if you look at our society, it's broken and blah blah blah. So what she's saying is the culture doesn't presently exist, but what it's going to involve is people like LTG coming into the community with wealth, intelligence, education, rhetoric, and the ability to invest in their own communities and then bring them out and create the new culture. So like I don't feel like it's as stupid as what everybody's pretending it was.
Problem is that real quick, just wait 2 seconds, then Aaron, I promise you go. What you just said is fine, and everybody would love to do that, but it's really hard probably to want to be a black guy to go back to that community when there's a community of women that are just like constantly fucking attacking you, right? At that point, it doesn't surprise me. And you can see by the response of black men in my community who are like, fuck this shit. Or some even saying like, this is why I don't fuck with black women, right? It's hard. Like you're attacking so hard, saying like, come and help us, like come and help. And you're like beating the shit out of the person, like asking them to come back to you.
But I think that's coming from a position of like hurt on her end, where she's saying, we've been dealing with so much shit. We have broken families. We have abandoned kids. We don't have economic opportunity.
Doesn't matter.
I understand.
When you make your trauma somebody else,
it matters to understand each other. It does matter.
When you make your trauma somebody else's problem, you're preventing a solution from ever happening, right?
You
can have a trauma response, but if you're having that trauma response, you're just destroying yourself. Like you're suicidal at that point, which is what she is when she talks about these black issues. Like she's culturally suicidal.
Damn.
I think, Connor, you're being like almost maybe like too charitable, because when she was asked the question about like, can you present specific examples of black culture from low tier God, it's not that she didn't know. She was just refusing to answer, because the reality is that the same degenerate black culture that exists among men has to be the same one that exists among black women, because black men and black women are raised within the same community.
But less so, because women are actively taking themselves out of it because of seeking higher education, being breadwinners. Yeah,
but
she thinks that they're doing their part, and she wants black men to do their part. She doesn't think that they are.
Right. But the thing is that like this culture that Connor was saying that doesn't exist yet, that's why she didn't want to name anything. I think it's because she was asked for examples of like black culture, and she wanted to reach for like traditional Eurocentric aspects of culture that she wants. But she doesn't want to say, even though that's what she desires, she couldn't say that because she knows food like spaghetti and these Eurocentric things aren't considered black food and culture, but she wants them to be. But she was also criticizing the like white supremacist Eurocentric structure.
If I may.
All right, and then I'm gonna go next.
I'm
so,
done.
So that was actually you stole the words right out of my mouth, but I want to expand it a little bit more. So I dealt with people in the military who had to deal with this, where by joining the military, they were accused of they're fighting the white man's wars. By focusing on education and self-improvement and economics and all that kind of stuff, they were basically called race traders. So that I could completely understand that she probably already catches enough flack, but if she was like, oh, the culture that I want to create, the values that I want are very similar to what we would consider like traditional white European American values, then she wouldn't want to take the fucking hit for being like, well, that's not black culture, that's white culture. You want the black people to be together, but you just want them to have a white culture.
Right, exactly.
So, Lotia, I gotta ask you this. When you so I already accept the fact that biracial people just date out of the race more. It is what it is, like for whatever reason, be it like cultural heritage, whatever it is, it's fine. But when you get up here and you're talking about bonquishas and you're pretty much relegating black women generally to the worst possible stereotype, you don't feel like you're doing a disservice?
I mean, I would say it's like a style. Like how I said, there's different styles of. I probably should have actually broke that down a little bit more, but it's a style of black women, just like there's a different style of black men. And I mean,
yeah, but when you say you don't date black women, you're referring to one specific style to say you're like rushing them all out. Maybe it's my experience, maybe your experience is different, but me, I haven't dated enough black American women. Like, I don't just see bonquishas, and it's certainly not all you're going to date if you out there trying to date black women. So you don't recognize the ways in which like you even talk about it is a little bit weird.
I mean, yeah, it probably comes out very, what's the word I'm looking for? It comes out very I don't want to use the word derogatory, but it comes out
marginalizing. It's marginalizing. That's what essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to come out and say that. I guess I'm really bold with the way I say things when I could have broken it down. And when I say bonquishas and things like that, I mean, normally when you come up in an urban area, like, when I was in LA, most of the women were like most of the girls were like that. Like most of the girls were ghetto and everything. I really didn't experience a different style of black woman until I got out of that area and entered a new demographic area. So for me, it's based off experience. And I mean, even if I go into my local Walmart or go here or go there, I mean, it's rare that I'm going to see a well-spoken, so on and so forth, black woman over somebody who's just using fillers and articulating herself in a more ghetto manner.
I thought that was a little fucked up though. I've seen black couples that are like super fucking happy walking down to fucking Walmart and Publix and all that kind of shit. So I felt like that was a little fucked up.
But it's his experience. It's his experience. Nothing wrong with that. Can I ask you, Lutier, if you see a woman and aside from she's not fat, she's not anything weird, she's not dressed anytime so crazy, but maybe she's got a slang a little bit, or she got the southern twang or whatever, do you immediately go to she's a bonquisha just based off of like one negative attribute that you attribute to being ghetto?
Nah, I wouldn't base it 100% off that. It depends on how you carry yourself, because I can analyze somebody within 30 seconds of having a conversation with them IRL. The first thing I'm going to look at is your hair and your scalp. As soon as if I see any sort of a lace front, I'm going to dock you a point. After that, I'm going to base your language off fillers. So if you say you feel me, you know what I mean, anything like that, I'm also going to dock you for that. I'm also going to dock your characteristics. So there's just certain little points and things I look at where if I know if a woman's ghetto or not. I'm not saying all black women are ghetto. And also somebody else had said where I didn't like dark-skinned women, which is absolutely false. I think Seventh Streeter is one of the sexiest chocolate sisters on earth. So that's definitely not a thing. But I'm saying there's more. My thing is, I feel like there's more ghetto blacks on earth than there is sophisticated. And that's
okay. Hold on. Are you talking about black Americans?
Yeah, black Americans. Excuse me. Black America is
okay.
I would say black America. Like if you go
that's
to
a wild take, bro.
I mean, if you go to Philly, if you go to so many different places, like how many sophisticated black neighborhoods are you going to run in? Like it's a rare thing, which is why there's such a big crime in the black community, because we're not sophisticated people as a whole. We do exist in little patches and sophisticated. And what do we want to do? As soon as we get sophisticated, we want to move out of that area and get to a better area where our neighbor is a Zach, a Pedro.
But that's
like
Anna's point.
Hold on.
That's not about a rejection of the culture.
I don't disagree on there's not that many sophisticated per se, but just because they're sophisticated, you immediately fall in the ghetto range?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Because like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not looking at somebody like, ooh, I know my wangs and fucking you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want somebody to start lecturing me about her wine cellar or some bullshit. But I could agree, like, you know, in terms of sophisticated people, sure. But you really feel like most of them are ghetto?
From my experience, I mean, if we line up 20 black people in Walmart right now, depending
Why
on
do
the
you keep
area.
going to Walmart? There's going to be more ghetto people at Walmart, period. I mean, listen, I've been to Walmart in America enough times. Them white people don't look exactly the most well put together.
They don't even look
Well, the
fucking
thing is-
human, man.
Walmart's for degenerates.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they got everything. They
Definitely
got
not Walmart.
groceries.
Walmart's
Nah,
fake.
Walmart's cheap, but we call them fucking Walmartians for a goddamn reason.
My man
never
go to the
heard.
local neighborhood liquor store talking about I don't see anybody sophisticated. Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
No, nothing like that. My thing is, I don't really see a collection of sophisticated black people when I'm out. I mean, honestly, if I go to Glendale Mall right now, I'm gonna be the only black guy in the mall probably there that day. I mean, we really just don't exist in those type of areas. And I think in order to create that type of sophisticated environment, we would have to have a community, and a community is something that we lack on a positive standpoint. Like, which one is the ghetto side? Is it South Philly? There's like a fucked up part of Philly. I forgot what it is.
I thought it was West Philly. West Philadelphia,
Okay.
born and raised.
Okay, West
on
Philly.
on the playground. That's where.
Like, look at the area. Like, look at certain areas in Chicago. So there's Chi-Town Chicago, and then there's suburban Chicago. So look what's in that area. So if blacks really wanted to fix themselves, we got to do it internally. Like, instead of just committing crimes and, you know, sliding on ops and certain things like that, there's a way we could fix it, but it comes internally. But I think that it's too damaged to the point where it'll never happen as a whole in Black America.
Okay.
Like, there's no way.
So this is our last thing on this topic. I'll let it go. I don't disagree with you in regards to some of the ideas. Like, if you don't want to date somebody who's ghetto, like, I understand that. What I would say is that I think optics matter a tremendous amount, especially in this media-driven world. We see world star hip hop, and it colors your perception of things. The words that you use are going to color certain things. And what I'm not telling you to do is to get up here and lie about shit. However, I would tell you that if your stance is essentially you don't want to date ghetto women, then I think that's fine. And if you feel like black women are overrepresented there, sure, whatever. I just think you got to be careful in regards to how you frame stuff out here, because the way it comes off when you say, I don't date black women, they're not my type, and then you flesh it out afterwards and you go into it, it starts to make a bit more sense. But you got to understand how it comes off on the off rip when you just using those as one-liners. You feel me?
Yes, the initial delivery. I get what you mean.
Yeah, and it's because sometimes you don't get to finish your point in the entirety. So that's pretty much all. But if you're saying you don't like date black women, that's an issue. That's fine. I can't clown nobody for that kind of preference. But it's just, if you out here saying like I don't date black women and you kind of cut it out there, you sound crazy. But if you're saying like, listen, for me personally, I like people who are well put together, who don't speak in slang or ebonics. Like, I understand that. There's a lot of people who hold that take. So that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay.
Dear God, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Like, y'all were talking about like the Pookie and Ray Ray thing, right? And I think you admitted like it is a stereotype, right? But I also felt like you were kind of like juxtaposing yourself against this type, and now you're going on to say that like you think that like a lot of black culture is like ghetto and kind of therefore negative. I don't know, like, could you clarify like this Pookie and Ray Ray thing? You do know it's just like a stereotype, right? Or you think a lot of black men are like would fall into this category of that?
Like, if I go to South Central right now, you know, off of 51st and Western, unless the gentrification is kicked in, that's what I'm going to get in. Somebody had asked me in my stream, they said, wait a minute, you're from LA and you don't have the accent? I guess because instead of saying core, I say car. So it's like, they expected me to speak a certain way. I said, wait a minute, everybody from Atlanta doesn't have a slur with a southern accent. Like, Usher doesn't sound like somebody who's from deep Atlanta. Like, he sounds like a regular black guy, like somebody who could articulate himself. So it's also an area thing. It just depends on where you go.
Articulate. Interesting.
Yeah, it depends on
Okay,
how
can I ask? Hold on? I'm curious. On a personal level, do you engage a lot, or have you seen a lot, like, politically, of like really far right communities online or in real life?
Here's the thing. I'm gonna keep it 100% honest with you. So, as far as the whole left and right thing, I have not dug deep. So you're gonna have to.
Okay, yeah, that's
school me
fine.
real quick.
That's not that important. Here, my question would be: is that, like, I know there would be a lot of people online that
Yeah.
would hear talking points from you, or in the real world, they hear talking points from you, and they'd go, finally, there's a black man that is going to tell you how fucking degenerate the black community is, and he realizes it's so fucked up, he's leaving the black community. Would it ever bother you to hear like a racist white dude using like your talking points? Not to say that they're wrong or anything. I'm just curious if that would ever like have a personal effect.
Would it bother me?
Mhm.
No, because the thing is, I don't even though I love being black, I want the best for my people, but I don't pander towards blacks. Like, I don't think everything equals racism. Like, I don't think just because you don't get your way, it's racism.
Mhm.
So my thing is, I know I might come off as somebody. She said there was self hate. Like, I've always heard that. Like, there is no self hate with me. Like, I look in the mirror and absolutely love who I look at, everything about myself. Like, there is no self hate whatsoever. I don't want to be any other ethnicity. But um, my thing is, I think that maybe for other people of a different ethnicity, it might be a breath of fresh air to hear somebody that's black speak on this because maybe it's what they're thinking already. But when somebody black hears something that they're not agreeing with, I'm a sellout instantly. Ice Cube, he said something about Trump. Immediately, blacks labeled him a sellout. How is he a sellout when he evolved? So it's almost like when you're black, you can never be right. Like you're never gonna win every black person over because for one, there's that cloud of envy. For two, you're a sellout. For three, it's just like once again, you're just never gonna be able to please the whole black community. I mean, there's black people that hate LeBron. Like, why? He's a family man. He's a billionaire. Like, what has LeBron done? But so many black people hate LeBron.
Gotcha.
Do you see how when you say like, oh, like, the black community, it's like too broken to like change or do anything? Like
Yeah.
it sounds like what you're saying is that there's something intrinsic about being black that has made it impossible to move on. Do you see like where people might make that connection there?
Well, the reason why I say that is because I mean it's factual. Like, how do we repair something that's so broken? When you think about it, like I said, um, I tried Black Friends, and I felt pressured, when I was a teenager, to try to speak a certain way to dumb down myself because if I didn't, I felt like I was going to be labeled a square. I felt like I was going to be, there's like, oh man, he's soft. Oh, this light skin, he's soft. Blah blah blah. Like it's a
Why
pressure.
are you talking like a white person?
All right, I'm not a multimillionaire. I got to get into the wage cage tomorrow, but I want to leave you with one thing because I'm hoping I can change your mind on this, LTG. Just real quick story. There's like a bunch of starfish stuck on the beach. They're all dying out in the sun. Little kid runs up, starts throwing all the starfish back into the ocean. Old man walks by and he says, "Why are you even doing that? There's thousands of them. It doesn't matter that you're doing this." And then basically the young kid, like without skipping a beat, says, "It mattered to that one." And he picks up a starfish and throws it back in the ocean. So my point here is like the only thing that really changes anything is individuals because individuals are what make up collectives. So if you want to see like a collective change, you got to start with yourself. I don't know how much money you're making, but mentoring people or donating money or whatever, like I do that kind of shit. And it's not just good for the community, it's good for you as a person. And like I'm not trying to change your mind or whatever. I'm just trying to say like food for thought. I think that hopelessness, like you have hope for yourself because you already broke free, but I think that what's discouraging for other people is they do have hope for change. So when you say like it's hopeless, don't fucking don't worry about that, they take that shit personal because you're basically saying that their dream of a better world is impossible. So
I mean, I think I was muted too for like a big chunk. I believe that there's hope, but I mean, look at the black people in power. I mean,
all right, well, I gotta go to bed, but fuck with that one
Yeah.
Wait,
starfish.
Connor,
I appreciate
Connor,
y'all. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Connor,
Somebody
can you
might
sit
re-answer
your
your
white
question.
ass down and listen for like 2 more seconds? Okay, I'm gonna use it as a
Sure.
parallel because could you imagine like if you were saying or like if you as like a white man were swearing off white women because of like white female trailer trash, I feel like people would push back against you, and low tier God, I feel like you're kind of you don't think so? No?
No. I agree with you that there are exceptions to the rule. Although I do think LTG did say that there are exceptions to the rule. He just doesn't bump into them. And so
Gotcha.
yeah, but I am with you that people would give me a lot of shit if I was just like, I don't even fuck with white women because, fucking redneck country southern trash suck,
Yeah. But I don't know, low tier God, I can't tell if like I guess it goes since you have like a public platform, even like when you state, I guess your personal
All right. Damn. All right. So, Sweet Stream Grifter. I All right, yeah, I kept it pretty short. I felt like that was pretty short. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. But honestly, I got to dip in the next 5 minutes. So, all right, yeah. Let's just call it. If y'all got questions, we stream on Fridays and shit. We'll probably be streaming more often, just when we do whatever, jump in on panels, bullshit, and then we'll start up the panel scene again. So, all right, love y'all in a kind of parasocial way, but it's okay. We have fun, and y'all have a beautiful evening. Catch y'all.